Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk. Here the gang all together. Tony
Gang.
Yeah, Tony feeling better. Q here also. By the way, if you haven't seen Q's monologue, we put that video there separate. People are enjoying it. Q, well done. And then guys, remember we also have Patreon for you guys if you want to help us up a little bit more. If you want to make sure sponsor us a little bit more. Patreon is available. And last but not least, Super Chat and questions are going to be up today. We're going to go review the Steelers game. We're going to preview the Bengals game. We're going to preview the AFC North showdown between Cleveland and Baltimore. Let's get the first Super Chat here real quick. Easy for POTUS. Quincy, is Michigan slander over? Finally?
I appreciate this, Yeezy, because you notice I missed the show. I wasn't on last week on the preview show this week, and you're like, man, let me make sure Quincy's lathered up for this one and just give him a nice practice ball, because I love talking that slander about Michigan. And what you think the answer to that? You think Michigan gonna go in there and beat Georgia? You think that's gonna be anything but a classic Jim Harbaugh meltdown? Like, I kind of preferred that it would happen against Cincinnati so he would lose to another Ohio school. But, come on, man. Come on. You think Michigan, tell me with a straight face, you actually think Michigan's going to make it to the national championship or win a national championship? I would take money. I would take bets on that. I would take legitimate bets on that. Now, I can't because, the way it works online, it's not really legal in where I live. But I would, in private, behind the scenes, take bets on that. I'm just saying, come on, man. You think Michigan, they're going to break your heart, bro. And I think they're going to break their heart by making it seem like they could beat Georgia, right? If Georgia just blow them out early, there's no hope. You don't really get upset. But it's going to be like, oh, man, we can beat Georgia. We going to do this. And then you don't, because he's Jim Harbaugh. That's, how he going to break your heart somewhere. This is what Jim Harbaugh does. Even when he made it to the Super Bowl, what did he do? Get his heart broken by the Ravens. This is what he does, bro.
Wait, we like to keep.
Is the power going out in this one? Where are they playing this one? We got to make sure the power stays on. It's a big.
Is it in New Orleans? Factor. It could be.
No. I think it's in Miami. I think they're playing in Miami.
Oh yeah, this is a weird one where they the national championship games in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's in Indy. By the way, so I want to.
What?
Yeah. That's where the national championship is. Q, I want to point out. You say that sports gambling is not legal where you are. That is true, but so is speeding, and that doesn't really stop people. So I'm just saying. There are ways.
Degenerate gambling.
Yeah. Okay, let's get this thing started with guys. So we couldn't make it yesterday. We apologize for that. But
AFC crime talk.
I'm not endorsing anything. I'm just saying where there's a will, there's a way.
We threw our picks on Twitter, so make sure you follow us on Twitter. And all of us just put who we thought was going to win. But hey, this was basically a beatdown for 3 quarters and then interesting fourth quarter. And I'm going to put it to Tony.
What a game. What a game. That was hilarious. That was one of the funnest Steeler games I've watched in a while. And I actually, how can I say that? Because the Ravens game was also hilarious. The end of the Chargers game, also hilarious. So the Steelers have kind of played the same game 4 weeks in a row. Congratulations to the Bengals, by the way. They really got to be feeling good about themselves. They didn't let that happen to them. I know that, a lot of Steeler fans today, obviously, it's a day of mourning. A lot of Steeler fans are upset about that loss because, 6 losses now in the AFC with the schedule they have coming up. We've talked about this, right? Even the Chargers loss felt the same way, where it's playoff division. Boy, is this team, is any of those things even remotely possible? And they were always a pipe dream. I think the bottom line here is and we found this out for the last 4 weeks and really the whole season. The Steelers are just not good. I think Q kind of, you talked about this, Q, in your video you did last week, right? Where it's the Steelers are not good enough to be good, but not bad enough to be bad, right? They're just kind of in this middle territory. I disagree with that a little bit. Here's what I'll say about the Steeler team, right? They're not good enough to be good, but they are bad, right? They're just not a bad team, though. They just refuse to actually be bad. even though for the first 3 quarters of this game, they looked like one of the worst teams that had taken a field. I mean, Dalvin Cook had 20 yards per carry at one point in that game. I'm not exaggerating. I think he at one point had like 18 yards per carry throughout the first 3 drives.
I didn't get this, Tony, because I was watching the replay this morning, and Minnesota was like, well, Dalvin Cook's rushing 10 yards per clip. The best thing we can do is burn the clock. You know what? Let's just start throwing the ball and getting picks.
Well, listen, I mean, those interceptions.
Kirk Cousins money, man.
I mean, listen, those interceptions were great, but let's not act like the secondary showed up in any part of that game either, right? I mean, like, Justin Jefferson was eating, whatever he wanted in the first half of that game. That Osborne had the long touchdown late, which is probably the decider in the game. I mean, it's a much different game at the end if Osborne doesn't catch the long touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, the interceptions were weird on Cousins' part, especially because Love going in, he had like 3 interceptions on the year, and then Akilla Witherspoon of all people comes up with two big ones.
Your boy Pierre,
he's got benched. No, the James Pierre hype train ended the same way. I wanted to talk about this last week on the show, but obviously I wasn't on. The James Pierre hype train ended the same way. You guys don't remember this because we weren't talking then, but like my Duck Hodges thing also ended in a very similar way. Duck Hodges, Sunday Night Football, he throws 4 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills and then got benched the next week. So, yeah, that meme is dead. Unfortunate. I do want to kind of put in perspective, though. I was watching the game with my brothers last night, and we were talking about the game as the Steelers were coming back and how hilarious it was that the Steelers might actually pull this off and they might actually come back and win what was just an absurd game. And he said to me, Tony, this is Mike Tomlin's version of 3-13, right? This team is not good. They're not good, but this is like his version. This is what a Mike Tomlin 3-13 team looks like, which is 3 quarters of absolute trash. But you have to love the way that this team fights in the second half. They've done this now, week after week. They haven't won a game by more than 1 score, but they've really only been blown out twice, and both those games were against Cincinnati, which is obviously, as I talked about after that game, just a really tough matchup for the Steelers at this point. So I really do love this team and what a tough out they are, and like how they're a team that you just don't want to play right now, even though it feels like the Steelers should be an easy win for whatever reason. They never are. I do want to touch on the Chase Claypool thing real quick because I have got on here for the last couple weeks and fought with you guys, and this will be a perfect time for me to take an easy way for me to take a victory lap on the whole Chase Claypool thing. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say the opposite. I thought last night was a net positive for Chase Claypool. I come out of last night's game actually feeling better about Chase Claypool than I did coming in, because while the celebration at the end is going to get all of the talk at the end, oh my God, I can't believe he did the point after that, and he cost them a play, and he cost them the game and all that. I'm sorry. I'm not going down and saying, like, if the Steelers had an extra 5 seconds in that game, they come back and win. That's the difference. I mean, again, this is a game where the Steelers gave up 20 yards per carry to Dalvin Cook. They were down 29-0. I'm sorry, Chase Claypool's point at the end is not the difference in the game. And he look, obviously, it's a very dumb celebration. He shouldn't have done it. But the other parts of this that I really liked were on that last drive. He had he had 4 catches on that last drive. He had the big one down the sideline, which was also play action, but he actually came down with the football. I thought after getting benched in the first half for what was a truly horrific first half in this game, where he did all 3 things poorly, okay? He had the stupid fumble on the stretch. He just completely whiffed on a block and then got the personal foul. He gets benched, but then comes back, and I thought actually showed some maturity on the field, even if it wasn't so much in the celebration itself, and actually come up with, look, remember, that play comes after a 4th and 1 slant that they had to have. The game's over if he doesn't make that grab. So I will give Claypool credit for that. I come away from this game, yes, Claypool has to get smarter. Probably Minka needs to knock some sense into him again. Maybe that'll happen during next year's training camp. But overall, I was more impressed. Look, the problem for Chase Claypool are not off the field. They're on the field, right? The off the field stuff, people talk about the TikToks he makes and all that crap. I don't care about that stuff. On the field's a problem for Chase Claypool. And I thought on the field last night, I thought he was actually pretty good in the second half. So I thought that was a net positive. The other guy I want to talk about coming out of this one is Ben Roethlisberger. I've seen a lot of Steeler fans take last night's performance and kind of use this and kind of shove it in people's faces and say, gee, Ben is not the issue with this team. Ben is not even a top 5 reason why this team is bad this year. Look at how good he was. And I will admit that there have been a couple
of a fourth quarter.
Listen, he outplayed Lamar Jackson last week, and then he had what was a fantastic fourth quarter last night. Vintage Ben Roethlisberger last night in the fourth quarter. That's right. The problem I have with this statement of saying, hey, Ben wasn't the problem last night. Well, I mean, he was a part of the solution in the fourth quarter, but those first 3 quarters from Ben, not exactly fantastic play. What I don't understand about Ben Roethlisberger is that he had some great throws down the stretch, some throws over the middle of the field in between defenders, into coverage, right? Tight window throws where he had to put some zip on it. His arm looked live last night. Here's my problem for Ben. Where are those throws in quarters 1 through 3? Why do we not see those throws? Why is he so unwilling
to pace
to
yourself?
actually?
You're old man.
Why is he? Yeah, he's pacing himself. Yeah. Well, it's week 15. I think he can kind of play 4 quarters of this style of football a little bit if you wanted to. That's my problem with Ben, right? I'd love to see him just kind of let's just open this thing up. Look, if he's capable of making those throws, like the throw to Freiermuth at the end, right, where it was kind of in between 3 defenders,
that was a great
perfect throw in the middle of the field. Why can't I see that in the first quarter, Ben? Like, what's the deal? What are we doing? That's my problem with Ben Roethlisberger right now.
I will tell you this, Tony. I used to have this old beater car, and I used to need to turn it on and leave it like 15 minutes just for it to warm up.
Well,
that's big Ben. It needs 3 quarters to warm that arm up.
I picked the Vikings to win this game because I did think, right, that like this whole idea that the Tomlin team kind of playing above itself on a short week after how well they played
Thursday
against Baltimore.
night on a row.
Yeah, Thursday, exactly. I just thought this was going to be a loss. I was surprised that they kind of found it in themselves, and you're right. I mean, it did kind of take like 3 quarters for the whole team to kind of rev up and be like, oh, right, gap integrity. Oh, that's it. That's what okay, got it. And I understand. Overall, though, I come away from last night's game encouraged. I'm really encouraged by the last 2 weeks. I talked about this after the game against Cincinnati. I said, look, wins and losses aren't important. It's not whether or not this team wants to play football, right? Has Tomlin lost the locker room? Are these young guys going to respond to this? Is this team still going to be capable of playing this kind of, dirty, ugly football? But at the end, hey, they have their chances. Obviously, I'd love to see them play better in the first 3 quarters. It was always going to be a tough task coming on a short week after Baltimore. But I thought this team did really well in their fight. And if this is, look, if my brother's right, and if this is a Mike Tomlin version of 3-13, what's the future hold? I like it. I'm excited about it. So we'll see where this team goes from here. But again, I also love, by the way, we still have games against Cleveland and Baltimore coming up. Steelers can play Kingmaker down the stretch. I like that as well.
Before I do Super Chat, Tony, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
How's Bush playing?
Bush is terrible. Bush is terrible. He got benched. I don't know if you guys saw this. So he's now gotten benched in favor of Marcus Allen. That's how far down it is.
Raiders great Marcus Allen.
Yeah, exactly.
I came out of retirement.
It's tough. Yeah, Devin Bush is just straight up not good. He got benched from Marcus. He's now in passing situations. Marcus Allen is playing over him. Marcus Allen, by the way, wears 27. Not because he's like one of these cool kids now who decides like I'm going to wear 20s as a linebacker. No. He was a converted safety. Okay, this guy was drafted as a safety. They had to convert him to linebacker because he couldn't make it there. He got absolutely boom roasted last night. Marcus Allen did a couple times in coverage, but that's who they chose to put out there, other than Devin Bush, which tells you everything you need to know about where he is right now. The only saving grace here with Devin Bush, and it's a long shot, but you just got to hope and pray that this is all related to the ACL and that he needs another offseason to overcome this. It's a long shot, but that's the only thing they have left because otherwise, boy, this is not a good situation.
I was gonna say if it was the ACL, man, you would at least
Marcus Allen out of Penn State.
Marcus Allen out of Penn State, yeah.
Damn.
Okay, let me read some super chats and then I'll go here with Q. Drew, shout out to you, man. Thank you for the donation. Lamar will finish the season on top, and it's great. He will get to send Ben off on retirement week 17.
Wait, hold on. Can we stay there? Can we stay there for a second?
Yeah, you gotta go back to
that. That's a huge game because Lamar Jackson may finish winless in his career against Ben Roethlisberger. He will likely now never beat Ben Roethlisberger in hindsight. Sonny, if you would like to know what it's like to watch your future quarterback beat Ben Roethlisberger,
don't do this, Tony. Don't do this. Last time you did this, it ended horribly. Don't do this.
No.
When you were like, "Hey, Sonny, watch a real defense."
The Steelers can't make the playoffs. I can never listen. This can never happen.
No. You gonna doom other people. We are relying on you to play better, so we get some tiebreakers. So like,
down the stretch of week 17. Yeah, look, as I'm saying, Lamar has to look. Lamar has to play well.
It's like the Baker Mayfield Bengals thing with Ben Roethlisberger against the Ravens. It's like 5-0.
Well, it's not Ben against the Ravens. It's Lamar against the Steelers. Lamar against the Steelers just decides like, we're about to play a 0 out of 10 game right now, boys. Let's do it.
It is the most interesting thing in the world when I talk to my friends who are Steeler fans about Lamar versus how I think about him. Because like when that 2-minute drill happened against the Steelers, I was like, no doubt that the Ravens are going to win this game, right? Because like I've seen Lamar do some stuff against the Browns. Like I'm not doubting that dude no more. But then my Steeler fan friend was like, nah, Lamar don't do that to us. And then he did. I was like, what is going on, bro?
It's tough.
I
It's
gotta
tough.
get them.
It's a routine,
Y'all gotta
routine passes in the
send
flat
them
is
out
tough.
right. Is that in Pittsburgh or is it in Baltimore?
In
It's in Baltimore. That's all I'm saying.
In
Like
Baltimore?
Lamar will never beat Ben and Hines. That will literally never happen because unless Ben comes back next year, which he's not going to do, or the
I'm
Steelers win the
hoping
division,
he should.
which is not
Bring
going
him
to
back.
happen.
Wait,
You want him
wait.
back another
Did
year.
Josh Allen beat Ben and Hines?
No, Josh Allen beat Duck.
Did Sam Darnold beat Ben and Hines? And I'm
course not.
I'm not even gonna ask if Josh Rosen did. So Baker Mayfield is the only one with a
from that
win
class.
over.
Yeah. Mhm.
The future Steeler quarterback.
Maybe Mason
give him-
Rudolph in practice
now-
when they practiced in Hines. Maybe he won like a scrimmage,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Now we have to give Baker Mayfield $45 million. Somebody's gonna put that on
That's
Twitter. Baker Mayfield, only dude in the 2018 draft class to ever beat Ben Roethlisberger at Hines, and you want to let him go? Clowns.
Ray Roggs here says Michigan's going to get Q swatted for an illegal gambling ring on this.
Michigan does not have the coordination nor stability to do such an operation on me.
Tyler, shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Headed to Cleveland for a big game. Q. Lost my cotton candy on this wacky roller coaster. Need me an XL turkey leg. A JOK pick six works. Sorry, Sonny. That's okay.
Look, this is what I mean by like the difference. I have no faith that Lamar Jackson will throw anything but 5 touchdowns in this game this week. Like, there's no way he's going to have two back-to-back games versus the Browns where he throws like more than an interception. Like, he's going to have the best game of his career against the Browns. And that might be the one that the Browns actually play well in because it's just wacky with the Browns and Ravens the last few years. It's just been wacky.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Vape guy here says, Tony, I think Roth should stay. Who they?
cool.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Brian,
Big Ben Roethlisberger fans for sure.
Listen,
can we talk
Bengals
about how
You lose 3 times to the Bengals.
Kilo
Not a whole
Island?
lot of trash talk I have today for the Bengals.
Is that how you say it, Tony? Is it a Kilo Island?
A kilo, yeah.
Patello Witherspoon.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you this when Tony decided to bring the Pure Peninsula. I don't think he has had any good games after that shirt.
Well, he's only had that was the only one he's had since that shirt.
shirt is
He
definitely
literally hasn't
clearance
played
now.
since.
Tony,
So
what you gonna do with that shirt?
That shirt is
what do you mean?
definitely on clearance now.
It might you might see it up here. You might see it up here at one point.
You gonna put it in the background?
Right. See, I got the steel curtain right there. The 70s defensive line, the
Dude,
greats, and then right
you
next
should-
to him, of course, will be James Pierre. Yeah, I mean,
No, you
that's
should
only
dedicate
fitting.
a wall for the Latrobe Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
I gotta get my
Ola
duck.
Aditi.
There's a lot of room,
You
by
know
the way.
what I
Like
mean?
up here,
Duck.
like look, we could do some duck stuff up there.
Ooh.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
a Latrobe Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
We
A
got some good stuff.
hall dedicated to mediocre Steelers who impressed their camp because there's nothing else to talk about. Like,
Listen,
Skip
Hall of Fame,
today,
the
too.
Tony Hall of Fame. I don't know what bad player I'm gonna talk up next year, but I'll find one.
Hey, but what do you think about the Ankilo?
don't do this to yourself again, Steelers fans.
Akello?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he's not good, but he had an amazing game. I don't know if you guys saw this. So I believe Cam Sutton gave up a perfect passer rating yesterday, and Akello Witherspoon gave a passer rating of 2. So it was just who do we throw to? Who do we throw to in this game?
Ravens Nation, shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. The Lions beat the Vikings, and the Vikings beat the Steelers. The Lions beat the Vikings. Therefore, the Lions are better than the Steelers.
I would say they're equal. I would say if they're equal. I would rate them about 16. If I had to rate them, I would say the Lions are about 16 and the Steelers are about 16. So I'd rate them about equal.
Okay, Q, what do you thought
If
about
you're
this
gonna
game?
do that math
one
too,
gets
you
that.
got to factor in the tie, right? Like that's what Tony's
That's
getting at, right?
That's what that was.
Like that.
16 was the score.
By the way, I woke up this morning and all I see is all this from Q and others, like something about Claypool. I was like, what the F did this MFer did now? And then I see the play and I start laughing, to be honest. I just started laughing, couldn't hold myself, kept
I
laughing.
could not believe what I had saw.
It's-
Like
I
it's
don't-
one of those things that like it's
overblown.
not the biggest, like it's overblown, right? If you talk about they didn't win the game because of that, or we're gonna put the whole game on him, no. But it is one of the most hilarious moments of the season. Like we do have to come to grips with this though. That's of a top tier hilarious. Like everything about that situation is hilarious. It doesn't have to be super serious
because it's
like,
him, and because it's
like,
him. Yeah,
like,
right.
like
And he's
I think this is funny. I'm not legitimately mad at Chase Claypool. I'm not here for the people who are legitimately mad and angry and want to cuss out Chase Claypool. That's taking it a little bit too far. But what this is funny. And Steelers fans, y'all should be at the point where y'all can just accept this is funny. I mean, it's not like you guys saw y'all going to the Super Bowl this year anyways, right? Like, if stuff like this goes down, it's just funny at this point.
Did you
But-
see? Did you see what Ryan Clark had to say on ESPN today about it?
Oh yeah,
No.
he said he is Ryan Clark went in his dictionary. He was like, Chase Claypool is as immature, is as mentally immature as he is physically overdeveloped.
Wow, I didn't hear him say that.
God.
I heard him say that
Holy crap.
Chase Claypool, that play represents like the downfall, everything that's going on with the Steelers right now and their downfall or something like that. It's
He had
like,
multiple clips. Look, man,
come on,
Ryan,
dog. What are we
We're-
doing?
whenever those Steelers wide receivers start acting up, they call Ryan Clark. And he is there to give
Yeah.
a nice quote. It's normally good content. Ryan Clark, one of my favorite guys out there in the media for that specific reason. But all right, so this game was like a wash for the first like 3 quarters. I honestly stopped watching in the middle of the third quarter once Dalvin Cook got that easy touchdown, had like 200 yards. I was like, man, only an idiot can lose this game. Now, again, I forgot Kirk Cousins was the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, so all things are possible through Kirk Cousins. And again, look, I get Kirk Cousins has been playing well, but Kirk Cousins is one of them dudes that if you see he only got 3 interceptions, you're not like, damn, Kirk Cousins only got 3 interceptions. You like, damn, Kirk Cousins only got 3 interceptions. He bound to give us a 4 INT game here, right? Like you know that's going to come back to normal, right? Like it's the exact opposite of where I am at with Lamar, where I'm like, oh, Lamar got like 8 interceptions in 5 weeks. Oh man, no, that's not going to continue. He's going to have 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. Get that even number back up. Like, you know, these things are going to come back to normal at some point. So I forgot Kirk Cousins was Kirk Cousins. I thought they were just going to run the ball, but you know, you got to justify that money. So I went and watched like 2 episodes of a TV show I like. I think it was Always Sunny. They have new episodes out. Watched like 2 episodes there. My friends started texting me like, oh my God, the Steelers are close back into it. So I switched back to the game. Steelers are within 8. Within 8 points, they blow 1 third down, still like get a chance to get another third down before the 2-minute warning. And I'm like, man, they about to do this. They about to do this. Like Ben's been good at them 2-minute drills this year. Like this is how the Steelers play football. They always have a 2-minute drive in there somewhere, right? Where we're like, oh, Ben, he can still cook. Like I don't know why every time he does this, everybody acts surprised that he can do this, but this is literally what Ben's been doing for a little while here, for at least this season. So, and again, I'm a Browns fan. I don't see if Ben Roethlisberger could be wheeled out there in a wheelchair in one of them little blankets they give old people in retirement homes so they don't pee and it show on their pants. And I'm still like, nah, man, Ben can still get down the field because I seen him do it with no arms against the Cincinnati Bengals before. Like, I am not in a situation where I'll ever doubt Ben Roethlisberger. That's just, he has put too much fear into me. But when he's driving down there, it looks a little sloppy. They're getting that 4th and 2. And I know Tony, like you're taking the reasonable civil approach to this. But Chase Claypool, boy, you gotta get roasted for this, man. He gets that 4th and 2, gets a little slant, and he just has to get that celebration in. And it's not the reason they lost so much time. Chase Claypool is technically right. Could he have gotten that celebration in, got the ball back there, and like maybe lost maybe a second or 2 more? Sure. But what he's not factoring in is that he doesn't exist in a vacuum. When your teammates see in that situation that you out here posing for the first down, they're going to panic. Like, what are you doing? Did you forget? And take the ball from you. In that panic to take the ball, a bunch of other people got involved. The ball gets kicked away. Poor Pat Firemove's got to run down there. Chase Claypool is arguing with Trey Turner while they're trying to get the ball set. And then Deontay Johnson's like, enough. Get on the line of scrimmage. And then they finally snap the ball. They finally spike it. They still get a really good chance to win the game here. So it's not all on Chase Claypool. Look, Pat Firemove, he had a play made on him. That's really what Harrison Smith ended the Steelers' hopes to win this game. And who knows if they even get the 2-point conversion. And then who knows if they
they got to win in overtime too. It's a long shot. It's a super long
the
shot.
people acting like Chase Claypool cost the Steelers a Super Bowl or something like that. Like that's ridiculous. But what this is funny. Like this is one of the funniest situations I've ever seen. Like I was watching that. You ever see like a glitch on Madden where it was so irregular? You're like, did that just happen? Like you got to go in an instant replay and go back. That's like one of the things. Like why did Madden play an animation there when I'm supposed to be when I'm holding down triangle? Like what is it doing? Is there a glitch? I couldn't believe what I had saw that he had actually sell it. Like I have seen a bunch of players who people claim are selfish in the vein of like a Chase Claypool. I have never seen anybody do that. I've never seen T.O. do that. Antonio Brown wouldn't even do that. Antonio Brown's issue isn't that he would celebrate, by the way. Antonio Brown's issue is that if he did not score the game with a touchdown and somebody else did, oh, he's going to set the locker room on fire even though they won. That's the Antonio Brown. That's a whole different can of worms, right? But Juju Smith-Schuster, as much as people want to give him him strays on this situation. Juju would never do anything like that. Like Juju would dance before the game and after the game, but he's not going to dance during. Well, he's going to dance if he scores, but not during a 2-minute drill. No, that was one of them things where like I've never seen a football player exhibit such lack of situational awareness, especially for a wide receiver, because if you don't have awareness of what you're doing and where you're doing, that could get you killed. And Chase Claypool out here just like, yeah, man, I had time. Let's talk about that post-game press conference too for Chase Claypool. This is where he made it worse because it was just funny. It was just funny. Yeah. If you just look at, okay, yeah, he yelled at Trey, whatever, they're going to get over that. Football players don't really care about stuff like that. But then you go to post-game press conference, and he is trying to give the Tomlinisms, but he cannot help himself, right? Like every other word, he's trying to remind himself not to say anything stupid, but he can't help. Like, what happened on that play? Well, I got to be better. I got to play better. But the ball shouldn't get knocked out my hand. But I got to be better about it, though, But I'm just saying, if the ball didn't get knocked out my hand, we don't lose that much time, but I gotta be better. I gotta be smarter. I gotta be better. I'm like, bro, you just threw Trey Turner under the bus.
But Trey can't knock that ball out of my hand, though. Let's just make sure they try to.
It was actually Eric. If you watch the replay again,
it was Eric Kendricks that did it, but Chase Claypool didn't know that at the time. No, full damn well who he thought knocked that ball out of his hand, and it was mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
that after the game. That still, he had to make sure people knew that it wasn't his fault for celebrating. He had enough time to get his boogie in. It was Trey Turner's fault because he felt like Trey Turner was hating. Like that is one of the on-time dog. What are you doing moments? And with Chase Claypool, the problem with him is he do stuff like that, and sometimes you don't want to have him on the field, but he's way too damn good to not have him on the field. So what you going to do with him? Like, you got to play him, and you just got to live with this stuff. Now, I can't wait to follow Chase Claypool's career, man. Look, it's been a long time since J.R. Smith was relevant in basketball, and J.R. Smith's one of my favorite players because J.R. Smith and dudes like him and Deion Waiters, they just do whatever they feel like without any regardless to what their teammates may feel in that situation. And Chase Claypool is carrying that torch in the NFL where I thought it could have happened. He's making dreams come true for me. I'm about to watch Chase Claypool for his whole career with joy because I promise you, this will not be the only gem that Chase Claypool drops on us. He will drop another. Shout out Chase Claypool, man, because it was a normal Thursday until you did that, and boy, did you set it off.
The press conference by far was like the worst part of that whole thing was that him trying to get in there and like justify like, well, I just want to do my little, I want to
do my thing. I got to do my boogie.
That's to me that's
more important than winning a game.
That is some stuff like I thought Wesley Snipes was playing Chase Claypool because that's some stuff Wesley Snipes characters would do in a movie, like in Major League, right? Where they in the sequel where they all full of themselves and everybody went Hollywood and Wesley's like, I gotta get my boogie in. Like that is the stuff that he did. Like it was parody.
It's one thing to do it, but then to not understand why it's an issue, right? That I think is like the bigger issue.
Tomlin was like, you know what? I'm gonna send you there for a press conference to see how you're gonna explain this self. Right, because they didn't have to send him for a press conference.
Does Tomlin discipline anybody? Like this is a real question. Like,
well, he benched him during the game.
Because it seems like guys kind of get away with. Well, I mean, he didn't bench him after that, right? Is he going to bench him in the next game, or does he really discipline guys, or is it kind of just like?
I mean, we don't know, right? I mean, again, it's he definitely benches dudes. I mean that there's the famous game against the Browns where he would bench a running back every time he fumbled, and literally every running back fumbled until start the row. It was like volleyball, rotate, and we're back at the top.
Did you guys win that game because like Chris Rainey scored a touchdown?
Did they?
Was it Chris Rainey?
Game? Yeah, that was Rainey.
You probably won. If it was Chris Rainey, you won that game because I hated Chris Rainey for like 2 weeks because he was like way too good than he should have been.
That was back on Jonathan Dwyer, one of my favorites. Jonathan, if we're doing a wall of bad Steelers, man, Jonathan Dwyer is going to be on that list for sure. He's one of my favorites. All right, we got a $5 super chat here from Josh Banks. Says, do you all believe Jesse Bates ruined his chance for a big contract because he's been average this year? Asking all of you, but Ace, let's start with you here.
Yeah, sure. I think so. I mean, if you're talking about like a top safety contract, there's no way I feel like that he's going to get that after the season that he's had this year, So is it going to be a top contract? I think no. Is it going to be an average contract? Possibly. They also could possibly franchise him. I don't think he wants a franchise tag to be applied, but I think he's just going to get a solid safety deal, which actually honestly works in the Bengals' favor, because if he bounces back and has a better year next season, then you've kind of got him at somewhat of a discounted rate compared to doing that deal immediately after that season that he had previously.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I see my word with a player like this, or who's like been spectacular, and then he's kind of taking a step back. Obviously, he's not going to want to take a mid-tier deal, right? I mean, he's right. Still obviously going to think of himself as a great safety, going to want that big safety money. Obviously, the Bengals are going to push back, and you wonder. I think Ace, this is probably headed for a franchise tag situation, and then it's going to end up in a what do they do with him from their type situation?
I don't think his contract status really changed that much this year. Like, they weren't going to give him the extension this year because they didn't give it to him in the offseason. That would have seemed like the perfect opportunity to give it to him. So since they didn't do that, I think he was going to get franchise tag anyways, and I don't think he's played bad enough to like not warrant so you can justify not giving him the franchise tag, or they're going to let him walk. I mean, a lot of teams do that because safeties have become extra expensive, and when we look at the numbers, the return on value on those safeties, it's not what you would want it to be. Yeah. So it might be one of them like, oh, this is the new running back trend where they just don't resign safety.
Especially box safety. Sure. That's what I was gonna say. Especially box safety. And I think Bates looks to me that he plays better in the inside than he plays on the free side. I agree here with Tony. I think franchise. I don't know if they wanted to give him the franchise. Ideally, I think they wanted to give him the extension this offseason. But I think Bates is probably gonna be like, nah, if you guys want me, not in the mid tier, I'll take the franchise. I'll do 1 year. I'll prove myself that I'm worth it, and I'll come back. So I actually don't think he will have a problem necessarily playing for the franchise tag, because I think he's probably self-aware that he hasn't played well enough.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of worried about it because he's almost kind of in that prove it. He said that he was going to prove it this year.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
he struggled, and I think they interviewed him like right after the bye, and he was like, I've been thinking about it too much. It's been affecting me on the field. So I think if he goes into a franchise type of situation, it seems like from what we've seen this year, it might affect him mentally.
Yeah. I also think, you look at the way that, like, if too high is going to become the new meta in the NFL, which it seems like it is, then obviously that is going to mean a devaluing of safeties, because you're going to need two, right? And obviously not just, right now, if it's all single high, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense to pay these kind of great, deep center safeties. But if it's going to go too high, well, then obviously you need two of them, and then it's less valuable. All right. Nova Stone 12, $2 super chat says, agree. Ravens 4 in talent injuries. Brown win easily. Whoa, we'll talk about that here in a second. Of course, that's going to be our marquee matchup.
Oh, that's what he was saying. He was saying 4 interceptions easily.
Bro, you think Lamar going to throw 8 interceptions versus the Cleveland Browns? Like, with all the things that we know about Lamar Jackson versus the Cleveland Browns, we're going to bet on that? I wish I could have that amount of confidence. I feel like he's going to throw 4 touchdowns and even that up. Like,
He has not played well recently, though. Like, again,
I'm saying, like, he in a slump. Like, he's gonna pop out of this eventually. Like, we were doing this with Patrick Mahomes earlier in the year, right? Where he had like that stretch of like 5 games where he looked bad, and we're like, oh man, what's happening with Patrick Mahomes? And then I think quarterback is a lot like being a pitcher in baseball, and sometimes dudes just get into slumps, and then they just don't get it. They just pop out of these slumps for whatever reason. I think Lamar's slumping right now, and I don't think the Browns are fortunate enough team that we can just expect that Lamar going to slump over both of them games versus the Cleveland Browns. Like, he's not
talking about 4 interceptions, by the way. I think he's saying that we are 4th in talent in the division because of talent / injuries, and that's why Browns
won't get into that conversation.
Yeah, I'm
not even going to do that.
That's bait. That's bait once again. Another bait here. Not taking that one. All right, vape guy. Another $5 super chat. Tony, who is Pittsburgh going to get besides Ben? Seriously, he's not great, but who else is out there? I'd keep Ben, cut Claypool. Well, we're going into an offseason where there might be like a glut of veterans. So,
Miss Cleo, you're going to have to put on your hat.
What happened?
Maybe Matt Ryan. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, right? These are guys who are going to be – Kirk Cousins could just come open, right? But then you have like – you have, depending what happens with Deshaun Watson off the field, you have Deshaun Watson potentially available. Russell Wilson is definitely going to be available. And Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be available. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Denver's like all in. A lot of the Denver insiders say that they are all in on the Russell Wilson thing, which leaves
Teddy Two Gloves.
a certain couple who really like each other.
Man, why
And
did Denver do this to himself?
It's a will
all
they
the
won't
time?
they situation, you know.
They
between
gonna
them,
go
so.
all in on Russell Wilson just to end up starting like who they gonna start?
Kirk?
Mitch Trubisky. Like this is what they gonna end up with. Like
Trubisky's Trubisky's definitely an option. Yes, Trubisky's an option. I think
somebody's
Taylor's an option.
This is really going to be interesting because the Steelers traditionally in free agency, they're not really big spenders, and you're talking about having to spend a lot of money at the quarterback position. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how they kind of handle that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 8. You have 18 years of Ben, right? It's like they haven't done this before because they just haven't had to. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is going to be interesting to see how they approach this. Why it is, it's a listen. You have no idea how good that would be.
The Rodgers
you have
Pittsburgh
literally no idea how good that would be. Yeah. If the Steelers got Matt Ryan, I would definitely buy a jersey. It would be the funniest thing of all time. I'll play back the clip.
Can you even get Matt Ryan though because of his cap number? Like
the cap number is like 40-something mil, but they actually have
58, it's like 48, right?
Yeah, but they can cut him.
They have a savings if they cut him.
If they cut him next year?
8 million. Yeah.
Like they can save 8 million, but they still got to eat 40.
Yeah,
what? Why would you do that? Like, we're not good enough to like make that make sense. Like,
the only reason you would do this, the only reason you would do it is if
you get like a
nobody's doing that.
No, if the team, if a team sends them a first,
some of it.
Third, right?
You could get a pick back from like if would you send like a 3rd round pick for Matt Ryan right now? Probably not. They will take a first. Who's sending a 1st round pick for Matt Ryan?
It's the only way you trade him. It's the only way you eat 40 mil.
Well, okay, but if we're thinking about a world where the Falcons are going to move on,
I gotta take that money on too, though, Sonny. Like it ain't like that money just come here free. Like no. I gotta take some of that money from Matt Ryan too. And if I'm taking on some of that money from Matt Ryan, you're getting a 6th round pick, bruh.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So facts. Yeah, so with Matt Ryan, with the Matt Ryan situation, I think for the Falcons comes down to this: do they want to just because look, they can save it. Like he's a dead cost to them next year. He's probably not going to start. They're going to draft Matt Corral or Malik Willis or whatever. Whoever it's going to be. They're probably going to start someone else next year. So do you just keep Matt Ryan around because we're already paying him the 40 mil, or do you actually save the 8 million?
Okay, so this is what's going to be my point. If you trade for Matt Ryan, the cap hit, for example, for the salary for the Steelers for Matt Ryan is 16.25.
That's not bad.
That's not horrible.
I don't hate that.
They have to eat most of this, the Falcons. So 16.25 is a great deal. That's why I said
they probably like last year though. We were like, man, all these quarterbacks gonna be playing musical chairs, and then nobody went anywhere.
Well, but I think it's similar to the Stafford, right?
With this draft class, I'm not sure. This draft class is weak.
Who's the QB?
We said the same last year, though. We didn't think that
last year at least.
Last year's class was good. You had Lawrence at the top,
right? And then you have people were having excited about Mac Jones, and people
at least now, which I haven't dug into any of the draft stuff. I've just gotten notifications. They're talking about they don't think two quarterbacks go in the top 10.
No,
somebody's going to do it.
Someone will do it, but this is going to be in like a Mitch Trubisky type situation.
It's going to be like that year EJ.
Blake Bortles third
overall. No, it's going to be like the year EJ Manuel went 10. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like that.
Like nobody thought
that's Pickett, right?
It's going to be like Pickett or somebody like that.
Kenny Pickett. Hey, listen, Kenny Pickett's very good. I mean, the one thing you'll give him, he hasn't been good. He's literally never been good in his Pitt career, except this year. He's great. So I give him credit for that. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback.
He's been there for like 5 years and had one good year.
Super senior, one good year. It's not great.
That's not a red flag at all.
All right. Terry Grandy with a $5 super chat says, what is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line? Boy, did they look bad last night. They had some miscommunications. Now they are missing their left guard. They were down to left guard number 6 last night, which is cute. But that's not the real issue is that the center, like the 2 rookies, well, especially Kendrick. I mean, Kendrick Green has really been disappointing for about the second half of the year now. He's the center they drafted in the 3rd round, I want to say.
Remember, you loved that pick, right?
I did like that pick a lot. Yeah, but the problem for him was always like, could he take on big nose tackles, right? If you lined up a big guy over him, like, does he have the functional strength? Yeah, the answer to that question is no.
Nope.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair to him, though, right? Strength is one of them things is why it takes like offensive linemen 3 years to be actually good. You look at Wyatt Teller, right? Wyatt Teller's the pancake king and all this stuff for the Cleveland Browns. He was not the pancake king his 2nd year in the NFL when the Browns traded for him, right? It took till his 3rd year to where he became a big, strong guy here. Strong enough to block here. So even like if you look at like Jedrick Wills, unless you're like a dude like a Mekhi Becton who's just bigger than anybody and everybody, strength is usually one of them things that just takes a couple of years in the NFL program for an offensive lineman, especially an interior offensive lineman, to get used to, because the fat guys in the NFL, much different beast than what you get in college, right? You might get one NFL caliber fat guy in the interior of a defensive line in the college schedule. The NFL, like, you don't get Calais Campbell every week in it, like you do in the NFL, or like a Myles Garrett lined up there, or DJ Reader, or, you know, God forbid Cam Hayward's lined up in front of you. Like, it's a whole different game for the interior offensive lineman when it comes to strength. So I've always been willing to give mulligans there.
He did play in the Big Ten, which, I mean, Big Ten defensive lines are usually pretty good, but no, your point is taken for sure.
They're nothing like that.
All right, so let's move on here to Ray Rags 14, a $5 super chat, says Q reminded me about Deion Waiters. If anyone doesn't remember, just look up his quote voice acting in NBA 2K15. I don't think he can read very well.
Deion Waiters' all-time favorite NBA player. This is a man who did not want to share backcourt with Kyrie because he felt like Kyrie couldn't score enough. This is a man who once looked at LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving and thought that his triple team jumper was the best shot on the floor because he Deion Waiters, and that's what I do. This is a man who made a game-winning shot versus Dwayne Wade in Miami when he was on the Heat, and then stood on the scoring table in Miami and told Dwayne Wade, "This mine," in Miami. This is who Deion Waiters was. Like, the NBA is worse off when we don't have players like Deion Waiters running around. Because no, Deion ain't good, but Deion's fun.
Yeah, it's funny. He completed the game.
All right, Almark 2 with a $5 super chat says, clown emoji, how I looked waiting for an hour at 12 p.m. with that early alert for the show.
That was me.
Oops.
That was me. I will say this. I put it 5:30 because I'm thinking show is at 5:30, forgetting that the StreamYard takes my local time.
Yeah.
5:30 London time. It's 12:30, and then I see all these messages and I'm like, oh.
Here's what we can tell you. The show will never be earlier than 4 p.m. I mean, a lot of us have day jobs, so the show will literally never be before 4 o'clock, especially with how long we've been going recently. I don't think a lot of us can take a nice 2.5-hour break in the middle of our workday.
We should do a 24-hour. We should do a 24-hour stream extravaganza.
Yeah. So you can bet that on the East Coast we will be starting no earlier than 4 p.m. and likely after 5 p.m. All right. Professor Chaos with a $5 super chat. $5 super chat here from Professor Chaos says, "Hey Q, that video you made was awesome. I imagine it as a black and white noir crime show. The mystery of the missing AFC North."
I feel like it's going to have a part 2 at the end of the year.
It might. You should.
It probably should. It was certainly very well done. Very, very well done.
Now, Ace, what do you think about this Pittsburgh game, man?
I was going to get into that. I was going to say, like, the Pittsburgh offensive line, they've been making me look wrong for the most part of this season, but this was one of the games that they really just kind of crumbled. And at one point you were worrying, you know, is Ben going to make it out of this game healthy with how many shots that he was taking in that game? But I actually picked the Steelers in this one, right? I thought that the Steelers were actually going to keep it going. I thought that they would be able to take advantage of that Vikings defense. Who's really just not really been up to par the last 2 seasons. And I thought that they would be able to do some things there. And they continued to come out like they have in the past with the slow starts. And I think we talked about this in the DM separately. You know, in the last 2 games, in the first halves, they have scored a combined total of 3 points. That's just how slow that offense has really gotten off the ground. And I really thought that this was going to be a game where they were going to get Najee Harris really to take off, right? He hasn't had that many opportunities. I thought that this would be a game. But once Dalvin Cook just essentially could pretty much go wherever he wanted to in this game, it kind of blew the doors off of him. But they were able to come back there at the end. Obviously, as Q said, Chase Claypool came and kind of messed that up with the celebration and with the ball getting knocked out of his hands. But still, I mean, even with that, Ben was able to throw a dime there at the end into, I think, between 2 defenders, but they were able to just knock it out. So for Pratt Freiermuth, that's a tough break for him. He had a good game, had a touchdown in that game. I actually had him starting on my fantasy team, and they were kind of doubting him because they said apparently Minnesota was good against the tight end, but he almost had a 2-touchdown game there. But it's a heartbreaker for this Steelers team because when you look at the rest of that stretch, like we talked about earlier, it's going to be a tough one. It is going to be a tough one, but we'll have to see what happens. But that is a tough loss for them. But they did fight back in that game and made sure that wasn't super embarrassing. And the other thing that I'll say is, yes, the Chase Claypool thing was silly. Yes, he's ridiculous. But let's just stop to talk about they should cut Chase Claypool or trade him. That is idiotic. That is stupid, and they're not going to do that. So let's just stop talking about that.
I want to hit on one. You're not going to take my favorite player away from me. Angry NFL fans. No, I need Chase Claypool to up the ante the next time they have a 2-minute drill.
Chase Claypool represents everything wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They're a diva team. He's a diva. They don't take the game seriously. They were celebrating after the interception.
We got to stop taking the fun out of this. If we see a dude like Chase Claypool running around, we need to stop being mad and ask this dude, what kind of ads can we give Chase Claypool to make this even better? You know what I mean? Like, he need one of them Southwest commercials, right? Need to get away. Like, we have lost the ability to have a sense of humor about some of this stuff because we always got to be angry about it, actually mad about it. No, this is funny. And Chase Claypool, I wouldn't blame you if you got an actual TikTok sponsorship after this. Just embrace it. We need some humor. We need some fun.
One thing Ace touched on there was like, they couldn't get Najee going in this game. One thing I had fun after this game was, look at the box score. Just go to the box score. For those of us who watch the game, if you look at the box score and you start looking at some of these numbers, you're like, man, they really got the running game going in this one. Like, that offense was clicking. It's like if you just looked at the box score and didn't watch the game, you would have a complete wrong idea of how this game played out whatsoever. Right. This is one game where the stats 1,000% lie.
I will say this because I'm going to be brief. We need to move to the next topic, but this game was decided by both D-line and O-line. The D-line for the Steelers was getting pushed back. Dalvin Cook was eating a lot. I mean, again, my shock as I was watching this game, it's like, Vikings, why do you start throwing the ball? In the mid-third quarter, you're winning 29-0. At that point, you should be, let's just run the ball. Let's just run it and just burn clock, leave the game, and just it's over. 29-0. No, let's throw. Throw it. There was a pick. Okay, that's just one pick, right? We don't need, it's just one. Nah, we're going to do it again. We're going to run it again. We're going to throw another pick. I was baffled, right? So I was just like, what is this?
The second one was hilarious.
The second, again, after the first one, you should have been, Kirk, you want to take a bench? Just direct snap it to the running back? Let's just do this thing? Nah, we're going to throw it another. Again, I was shocked because when you're winning by that much, you should just put it away on the run. So whatever.
I will ask you this, Sonny. Is that on Kirk Cousins or is that on the coach? Because why are you?
They were scared. They were scared.
It was almost like Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. It's like, oh yeah, even though the run is working,
it's on. Start passing. Both of them though, because you know what the problem was? It wasn't that they were passing. It's because they both forgot. My quarterback is Matt Ryan. My quarterback is Kirk Cousins. And if you got Aaron Rodgers, you could do stuff like that because Aaron Rodgers is more than likely just going to put the game away, right? But if you got Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan, it's a fan of those. If you were a fan of those teams, you get nervous. Like, why is he dropping back so much? But why we let they forgot. They bought into, Kirk Cousins only has 3 interception hype, or Matt Ryan is actually the
Kirk
MVP
isn't
hype.
Bad, though.
Right?
I will say
no. The thing
he's
with
way
Kirk
better
Cousins,
than I expect.
No, Kirk Cousins is not bad, and he is much better than anybody expected him to be coming out of Michigan State.
Yes,
but he's also still Kirk Cousins, which means he's not gonna do like you can't lean on him or be like, "Hey, Kirk, put the game away, baby. This is on you." Like you could do that stuff with Ben Roethlisberger in his prime, where it's like, "Hey, Ben, put this away, cook it away for me, man." Kirk Cousins, that's exactly what you don't want to do with Kirk Cousins. You want to get to a point to where Kirk Cousins does not have to do much, right? But they decided that Kirk Cousins was that guy.
Was just eating, right?
But Sonny, the second interception was on 3rd and 4 with 5 minutes to go in the game, right? So it's
I would have run it.
The second interception was whatever, but it's just like they probably, I don't know. I didn't watch the middle of this game, but it sounded like they started to throw the ball a lot, got a lot of third and shorts, and then let a lot of time on the clock.
It didn't make sense because they were having incompletions that stopped the clock to give Pittsburgh more opportunities to get back into the game.
Because they thought Kirk Cousins was something that he's not.
Wait, hold on. I'm looking at the drive chart here. So after the Steelers cut the lead, okay, so after the first interception is on first down, right? So now the score is 29-14. It's a 15-point game. The next drive, it goes run, pass, punt, right? Run, pass, punt was the next drive. The Steelers got him a 3-and-out, right? Then the next drive for the Vikings, they scored the long touchdown, the 75-yard touchdown. Cool play, Cam Sutton. Then the next drive is run,
yes,
and then interception, right? So it's 5 runs in a row. Well, one of them is a Kirk Cousins scramble, but regardless, right?
That's 5
runs.
As soon as they tried to pass it, what happened?
No. Here's the thing. They were like, Kirk's cooking too. It's not just Dalvin. Kirk out here cooking.
Kirk was cooking.
And that's the thing, though. That's going to get you in trouble.
He was.
This is why Kirk Cousins can't win. You can't win a Super Bowl with him because he will get you in trouble because he will play good enough to make you believe he's not Kirk Cousins, and he almost blows a 26-point lead, and then he loses to the Lions. It's like, this is the dilemma with Kirk Cousins. And it's not that he's not good. Kirk Cousins has always been good. It's that he's good. He's so good that he gets you in trouble all the time, and that's exactly what happened. If that quarterback, if that was Case Keenum back there, they would have won that game by 14. Because you know what you ain't gonna do with Case Keenum? Let's throw the ball more with Case Keenum. But Kirk Cousins is good enough to make you think we can throw the ball 35 times with him. You know what I mean? And that's gonna get you in trouble with Kirk.
But this is what the Vikings do. They always have these weird games where they let teams back in.
They haven't.
Shout out Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah. By the way, Sonny, I want to point out, this is like a meta thing to the show. Have you always used the word nil instead of zero, or is that like a UK thing rubbing off on you?
Are you going to start saying Zed?
No, that's that. My kids.
I love nil. I watch a lot of soccer, so I've also I say nil a lot.
I think I always say nil.
Okay.
I think so.
Right.
But
he's going to pop up in one day.
I like it. I like it. I also am a nil user. So
what do they call it in soccer when you have like a shutout, a clean sheet? He's going to start referring clean sheets.
Clean sheet. No. Hey, the Steelers almost had a clean sheet against them last night for a while there. It looked like it was going to be a clean sheet.
Okay, before we keep going, Tony, I think we need to pay some bills.
Oh, of course we do. We got to tell you about our friends over at Manscaped. It's holiday season, and you don't know what to get for your stocking stuffer? Well, today's sponsor, Manscaped, has the tools to guarantee you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they have served more than 4 million men worldwide. If my math is correct, that's almost 8 million balls. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word. Ho, 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 fellas, naughty or nice, 'tis the season to perform. And Manscaped's best-selling product is the Performance Package 4.0, which is at the top of every men's wish list this year. Inside, you'll find their lawnmower body trimmer, the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body, and the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. Let's not forget about their famous liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to maximize your ball hygiene routine. Get the Performance Package now and receive 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. The dads can't stop talking about this. The teens secretly buy this, and the women will love you for it. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free, so you know their products are legit. Make sure you hurry over to their site to ensure these wild gifts show up before the holiday season. And while you're at it, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com, but you have to use our promo code AFC North Talk, all one word. Whether this is for your partner, dad, brother, friend, get them something that they will actually use, and it's almost sure to get a laugh.
Okay. We have some super chats before we go to the Bengals game. So go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, we got it. So Ravens Nation here, $5 super chat says, remember last year when we had a 1-year break from the Patriots? That was nice. I missed that.
This Patriots team this year, though. Like, they don't feel like the same thing. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's fun. It's young McCorkle out there just like handing the ball off. You know what I mean?
By the way, the disrespect that you're like, I'm just going to throw it 3 times.
It's
Also
not
not
disrespect. It's him not overthinking it, right?
got-
It's just all right, man. You got to
I
do
mean,
what works.
Don't
Somebody
give up a
came out
70-yard
with a
touchdown
metric-
early, and
Somebody came out with a metric to like prove that he has like one of the best situations in the league, like
Yeah.
around him as far as like
Yeah.
the blocking, the defense. Somebody actually created a metric for that. It was called like QB help or something like that.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, you tweeted that the other day.
Yeah.
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 You know who's worse on that? Oh, I don't want to derail with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Matty Ice. He's got the worst situation.
Come to
in the
Pittsburgh. Come to
league.
Pittsburgh. We'll help you out. All right. AJNM with a $5 super chat says this Steelers team is embarrassing. Should be embarrassed from their performance. No. Different. Let me reword that for him. Put that back up.
They're scrappy.
They should be embarrassing, but they find their way not like last night's game. I should be on here like, my God, again with the Bengals thing again, we're just completely no showing in these games. They should be embarrassing, but they're not, and that is the fun part about being a Steeler fan right now, is that this is a very embarrassing performance. But then they find a way to like make it a game, and it's fun. I'll take it.
And then Chase Claypool makes it embarrassing. And then you almost don't make it embarrassing. It's kind of fun because this is the kind of torture that really hurts Steeler fans. Like if they just got blown out all year, it wouldn't really hurt them. But the fact that they came back in that game, they came so close to winning that game, and then like it ended how it did. I don't know. I feel like that hurts them more. It makes them care a little bit more, just so it hurts a little.
Don't you think though? Like play on the field. Forget what the Steelers' record is right now. Play on the field. How this team is. What should their record be?
That's about what it is. 500.
You think so? You think this is a 500 team? No way.
Yeah, they play just as
this team should
bad.
have like 3 or 4 wins.
Oh, you think so? No, I think they play
Yeah,
just as bad as they
think
play just
Tony's
as
right
good.
about that because
Yeah,
when you
they're
think
way
about that
balancing
Bills
out.
game,
Yeah.
they shouldn't have won that Bills game.
Think about
balance
the
it out,
ends of the Broncos game where like Teddy's thrown into the end zone at the end of that one. They had to have the last second field goal against the Bears at home in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the Seahawks game where like they just decided
They should have
Yeah.
lost that one.
That's what I'm
But the
saying.
Seahawks are bad. Like
It's and the
Yeah, I
Steelers,
mean,
the Steelers
like, at the end of
quite
the
nearly
day-
lost
Steelers
that
are
one.
pretty bad,
at the
too.
end of the day, though, at the end of the day, when the Steelers like if they need a drive, like the difference is like when the game's about to get out of hand, right? And they need that one drive to kind of stay in it, they get that one drive. And that's not something like sub 500 teams do.
But don't you
So
think?
that's why.
Okay, don't you think they should have lost? Like they should have lost to the Ravens too, right? I mean,
No, there's a lot of games they should have lost, but
should've
there's
lost.
also you could go through it and be like, there's a lot of games they should have won
I wish
too.
you
I'm
would've
just saying,
lost.
Well, I don't know.
there are specific moments in which you could tell if a team is like a 500 team or like a sub 500 team or a very good team, and they do just enough of the good stuff that makes you think, yeah, this is 500 team. Like, nothing more, nothing less.
By the way, to talk about that,
It's
game, I didn't get a
honestly this
chance.
year to figure out who the really good teams are. Like outside of like the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Green Bay Packers, like
nobody's
who is
really
that
good
team in
this
the AFC? Like
Nobody.
I
In
don't
the
even
AFC,
know.
no. It's a toss up. It's a complete toss up in the AFC. It's just- Chiefs.
Okay,
The Chiefs
so-
are really good. The Chiefs are really, really good.
We had this.
By the way,
one-
we didn't get to talk. I didn't get to talk. I just wanted to mention one thing last week, which is I just want to let Lamar Jackson know that
Oh, he got muted.
here we go.
Okay, go ahead,
I just want to let Lamar know that the thank you card is in the mail for the bailout that he gave the Steelers at the beginning of that game. Because by the way, the Steelers should have been down multiple scores. at the
Yeah,
beginning
I
of that
tweeted
Ravens game.
21-0 should have been in the first half.
Woo, thank you, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar
I can always count on you.
was cutting some PPP loans these last 2 weeks.
Yes, it was quantitative easing happening in Pittsburgh right there. They
Cut
were,
like 4 of them in
it
Cleveland last
was-
week, and the Browns still could not pay their employees.
All right, Professor Chaos here with a $5 super chat said 2 words to describe the Steelers as scrap. Alex, you know what? I know I've been making fun of the scrappy Lions. I'll go with scrappy Steelers. Absolutely scrappy Steelers. Love them. Love my scrappy Steelers.
Just so scrappy.
It's scrappy. Hey,
the
let's
team-
talk
you
about
don't really wanna
Bengals.
Scrappy.
Talk about Bengals. I think the line opened like +3 or minus
got the
3
lines,
for the
Tony?
Bengals,
I got him. Yeah.
but it opened like -3, and I think it went all the way to the other side. I think
It opened. No. So it opened at San Francisco -3.
Oh, okay.
And now it's come back down to where probably close. I thought this was going to be a pick 'em. So like San Francisco by 1.5 is a little more than I thought it would be. But yeah, it's San Francisco 1.5 right now.
But this is a game that is a West Coast team again to the Bengals coming all the way to Cincinnati.
Yes,
Right
in
from
Cincy, I
California.
think is the
Yeah, so like last week, San Francisco coming from a tough loss to a Seattle team that fake punt was spectacular. But other than that, I mean, that team didn't have much to go, but they still won that game. Ace, how are you feeling about this game? San Francisco coming to the jungle.
Well, I mean, I think when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I said that this 49ers game was one that I looked at and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to really play this team, especially with them starting to make some strides here lately in the last couple of weeks, right? At the beginning of the season, I called this a loss, right? And then I saw them start to struggle and have the slow start. And I'm like, hey, well, this game might actually turn around for us, right? The 49ers don't look so good. And then when we hit this current stretch, they've started to get a lot better. This is still a tough team for me to really, I guess, feel comfortable about winning this game. And I actually was at the last game that we played the 49ers, and they literally ran all over us with that scheme. Now, it is obviously a different defense now. We do have DJ Reader. The Bengals are a top 10 unit against the run on defense. But this is still a tricky one, I think. And one of the things that's been plaguing the Bengals for weeks, and I think Quincy and everybody's talked about this, is the turnovers. Like every single game, we have had a turnover. Another thing that's plagued us, slow starts. Like we did it last week. We did it the week. Like all of these games have really kind of essentially started off, for the most part, if you look at the percentages, probably the majority of them start off with the Bengals not really scoring that much in the first half. A lot of people call the Bengals a second half football team, and I've called them that myself because that's generally what they kind of do, right? They had points where they kind of got Jamar Chase involved in like the second quarter, literally right before halftime. And then in the second half, they get the offense rolling. So that's something that they can't do in this game, especially against a team like the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the reason that I still have been monitoring this is because it's very interesting on the injury stand front for both teams, right? Because the Bengals, we suffered a couple of injuries. The key one, I would probably say for us, you could say Logan Wilson. I think it's actually Cheeto as far as the starting corner that's out there. So potentially he is going to miss this game. He's questionable right now. Joe Mixon has had an illness at practice. I'm sure Joe Mixon is probably going to play. T. Higgins also was roughed up. I think that he plays. But on the other side, I have been hoping and praying just to try to get a win here locked up, that Deebo Samuel was not going to practice this week. And he came back today in practice. So it seems like Deebo Samuel actually can potentially play in this game. And if you've watched any of Deebo Samuel, he has been extremely electric with how they use him. They use him in the run game. They use him in the pass game. He is a Swiss Army knife for that offense. He is literally their offense. Like, I know that we're going to talk about George Kittle, and he is great. But when you look at the target share for this team of the 5 top targets that they have, Deebo Samuel accounts for 38% of those targets. And so he is literally one of the focal points of their offense. They did catch a break, though, because the other thing that I was monitoring is Elijah Mitchell going to play, right? The young running back that they have, he's actually been pretty good for them. Looks like we are going to dodge a bullet there. He's going to be out. But guess what? Fred Warner, the all-star linebacker for the 49ers, is going to be back this week for them. So there was a lot of things that I had to look at. I actually also had to do a crossover with the guy that's a 49ers YouTuber, and I found out some things that I wasn't aware of. And another big kind of injury concern for them is that they've had some injuries at the corner position, and he was really afraid of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, just the Bengals wide receivers overall, taking complete advantage of them. And initially coming into this game, I didn't see that, because if you just look at the pure like rankings and everything like that, it's saying that the pass defense for the 49ers is 4th right now. So you would just assume like there's no holes in that secondary. But apparently with the starting corner being out, I think that that's going to bode well. I actually think that this is a game, if the Bengals don't get any turnovers and they focus on kind of passing the ball in this game and getting back with Jamar Chase and recreating some of that magic, I think that it actually can happen this week, especially with Jamar Chase, especially with T. Higgins. I think that this is a game that they kind of switch it up and go from the running attack that they've tried to kind of go with Mixon and kind of go with that passing attack, because I think with the run defense for the 49ers, you're just going to run right into Fred Warner, who's one of the top linebackers in the NFL. So I think offensively, that is how you attack this team. You have to limit the turnovers. You have to get Jamar Chase and your receivers involved early and often, and you got to put up points early. I think that that's how you kind of try to win this game. Now, on the flip side, defensively, you definitely have to be worried about Kittle as well as Deebo Samuel, right? Those are the 2 guys that you have to worry about. I honestly think that Greg Kittle definitely could wreck this game, especially with the Bengals having so many injuries at the linebacker position. I mean, you're talking about potentially having Joe Bacci starting in there with Jermaine Pratt. So that is something that Kittle is probably licking his chops to try to take advantage of there.
Ace, question, just in the same line of thought. Do you think this is a game, we talked about Bates earlier, then they will put Bates more on Kittle, trying to use?
Well, generally what they usually kind of do, sometimes they'll put like Von Bell on him. But that's why I talked about Cheeto being important, because in situations like this where you'll take a tight end and put him out wide, they'll put Cheeto on him. Like they did that against TJ Hockenson. And I actually feel comfortable, way more comfortable with that than a Bates in that situation. So that's why I'm hoping that Cheeto plays, because I think that you would be better off doing that as far as that with him. But, Kittle's gonna definitely be a big part of this game. The other part is in the trenches. We talk about this all of the time. The San Francisco 49ers, they have an elite running offensive line. We saw what happened when the Bengals ran into one with the Browns. We saw what has happened in the past with that. And that is definitely going to present us with some issues. Now, we have been solid against the run, but we have never faced, I think, a scheme and a kind of power offensive line that they're gonna run with. No disrespect to the Browns. We just know that when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, that's what he does, right? He can throw any running back in his scheme and they're gonna get yards. So even though they won't have Elijah Mitchell, he can make Jeff Wilson look good. And I personally saw that in person in 2019 when Matt Breida and all of those guys, just literally every single one of their running backs just went wild on us. So the key to stopping them is definitely stopping the run and Kittle. Jimmy Garoppolo, is hard to kind of get a grasp on him. Like sometimes he's good, sometimes he's a game manager, sometimes he's throwing interceptions. You definitely want to make sure that you're trying to get him to throw some to you. But this is going to be a tough game. I think overall, for me in this game, the 49ers, it being a 4:00 game, which I don't understand how it's an East Coast game, but it's at 4:00. This is going to be one, and especially with Joe Burrow with the pinky. I forgot to talk about that. The pinky seems to be okay. I think that I have the Bengals narrowly edging this one out. I'm going to go 30-27, but the trenches are going to play a big part, especially when you talk about Trent Williams, who's like the #1 tackle on PFF this year. That's easily going to be the hardest offensive lineman and the most talented offensive lineman that Trey Hendrickson is going to go against. And usually the Bengals don't rotate them or rotate Hendrickson from side to side, so that kind of scares me. But the other guy I think we can take advantage of, and the other big thing is that after giving up 6 sacks last week, right, without Trey Hopkins and Riley Reif, I forgot to mention this in the injury report, those guys are going to be back. So that is going to help us out a whole lot, because if that wasn't going to be there, that 49ers defensive line would have wreaked some havoc. So I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one, 30-27, but I'm not comfortable with saying that, because I think that this 49ers team definitely can come in and beat this team. And if we come out and start out slowly like we did before, this game could get out of hand as well. So I've got it as 30-27 Bengals, but I wouldn't be surprised if anyone was actually taking the 49ers. And I'm not surprised why Vegas would be taking the 49ers as well.
Okay.
All right. Joshua Matter here, $2 super chat. Burrow outplayed Herbert. I said what I said.
This was a thing that was brought up by Dan Orlovsky, like after the game, and he was like, film. And at first, like when he said this, I was like, I don't know, dog. Like Herbert was taking off at the beginning of the game, and then I rewatched it on like the replay. And when you look at some of the plays that happened, like you think about the interception in the chase, right? Like that should have been a touchdown, and that was an amazing pass thrown by Burrow. And he had another pass where he threw in a double coverage against T Higgins on a touchdown. And this was like after the pinky. He had some impressive plays, but for me, the worst one was definitely the fourth quarter red zone touchdown, or not touchdown, but interception that he threw there. Yeah. But I can see where Dan Orlovsky is kind of coming from, because a lot of the Herbert stuff, not his fault. It was really aided by a lot of Cincy turnovers. So he didn't really get the chance to really like do some crazy things with the ball, because we just made it pretty easy for him.
That game last week between, I know, again, I didn't get to talk about it, but like 7 turnovers in that game. What a I watched that. Crazy. I watched almost every play of that one, and that was just strange. All right. Mike Gibson here, $10 super chat. It seems like the Browns exposed the weakness of the right side of the Bengals offensive line. and teams have been duplicating that. Do you think the Bengals can fix that against the Niners? Wait, isn't Riley Reef out, or he was out last week?
He was out last week. Yeah,
And
Riley
nine
Reef
rounds.
and Trey Hopkins. So the right tackle and the center were out last week. They were replaced by Isaiah Prince, who you probably don't know.
I liked him though. I liked him.
Isaiah Prince and Trey Hill, who's a 6th round pick that and I ate some crow on that one because when Trey Hopkins was struggling at the beginning of the year with the knee injury, I was like, oh, Trey Hill, you can't just go by, him being a 6th round pick. He might be okay. We don't know. We don't know what Trey Hill is going to do. And yeah, Trey Hill, not good. Not good.
Where did Trey Hill play college? Do you know where he played in college?
Georgia.
He's the Georgia guy. Okay.
Yeah. I think he was a guard there, but they have him playing center. Trey Hill, not good. Not good at all. Riley Reef, honestly, has been pretty solid for the most part this year. Like in the Browns game, he definitely got taken advantage of. But I am completely comfortable with Riley Reef after Isaiah Prince and Bobby Hart for however many years. So, yeah, I think we should be okay. But the 49ers definitely have the edge rushers to take advantage.
Yeah. We got any more super chats, Sonny?
No, that was it.
I think we're clearing them out.
Now. So, Q, what do you think about this Bengals Niners game?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if the 49ers still do this, right? But I know when they used to play the Bengals, they used to spend the whole week over in Youngstown to kind of not get that whole West Coast team getting stuck on the wrong time of the side of the thing. I know they did that in 2019. I know they did it in 2011. Obviously, as a grad at Youngstown State, I would know these things. But I don't know if they continue to do it. I know it was Kyle Shanahan, the last guy who really did it. I don't think Jim Harbaugh did it that much in his career whenever he played the Bengals. So I don't know if that's what they're still doing now, but I do know, and the reason they do that, by the way, for people who are unaware, the DeBartolo family's from Youngstown, who owns the San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot of connection between that part of Ohio and the San Francisco 49ers. So you will run into, like, my great-grandfather was my grandfather on like one of my family sides, one of my dad's sides was a big 49er fan. So there is like a strong lineage of like 49er fans in Ohio. And then there's like the Bill Walsh split and all this extra stuff that goes into it. So like this is some story history here with the 49ers and with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know how to feel about this because like if you look at the only other teams that the Bengals have played that do stuff similar to what the 49ers do, you got to go to Minnesota and you got to go to Cleveland. And those aren't games where the defense looked like what it has outside of those two tests, even though they didn't win that game against Minnesota. Obviously, the Cleveland game is what the Cleveland game was for them. But I also don't trust much of what the 49ers got going on down there. I mean, it's like Jimmy Garoppolo, how much are we going to trust him? They tried for a couple of weeks to like put in what's his name? Trey Lance in some plays here. I always hate that. I absolutely am 100% never a fan of that. And I get that they look, it's Kyle Shanahan, and he's going to make something out of nothing. It's kind of what he's done, especially with wide receivers and especially with running backs. But they're running Deebo Samuel out there, like legit running back snaps. They're running low on guys they can put back there. And I think the Bengals are a good enough team to where they should win this one at home.
Okay. We have a super chat, and then Tony, you can take
it. Professor Chaos, $5 super chat says, Q, what's your opinion of Dustin? Oh, former Steeler, Dustin Colquitt. Also, I think the Browns should replace Case next year and get someone like Gardner Minshew. Did he misspell? Did he mean Case or did he? Sorry, Q, go ahead.
Minshew played great.
He meant Case. He meant Case.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, like an upgrade for the backup position is definitely in line. Look, the truth is that even if Baker threw 5 interceptions, he's going to start next week because you rather just go with him than Case Keenum. Like that's the issue that you have. Case Keenum's just not good anymore. I know there are people who swear to God that he's great and tell me I'm wrong and tell me I'm a Case Keenum hater, but you know,
did they show in that montage before Thursday Night Football. Didn't they showcase Keenum like when he was on the Vikings? They were like showing like this montage.
Oh
of, like,
yeah,
the
I think they did.
periods.
Yeah. Back
I was
in
like,
his,
I
well,
know
listen,
Q is
his
looking at
Vikings
this,
year
like,
that's his crowning
Case Keenum.
achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Nobody
the way-
ever lets go of the Vikings year, even though 3 years after that, he has never been anywhere close. So everybody goes back to the. It's like with Nick Foles, right? He will always be in the NFL because Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, so everybody gonna talk themselves into Nick Foles, and then you end up like the Chicago Bears paying Nick Foles $10 million to be on your practice squad. Like, this is what it is. So nah, man, Case Keenum, he's just not good enough to really do anything for your team at this point, other than be like a replacement level player. And so you got to upgrade that position, right? Because if Baker this year, he's not going to get benched regardless of who is behind him. But next year, if he starts stinking up the room and you can let go of him after that year, right, you're going to want to have somebody back there you can go to, you feel good about. So you got to upgrade the position. I think next year they will.
Dustin Colquitt, by the way, sucked when he was on the Steelers, but every punter sucks on the Steelers. The kid that I loved, Presley Harvin, sucks.
The big guy?
Oh,
the big
he
guy's
sucks.
not
He
Was
sucks.
he on the?
I want to trim up a little bit.
Was he on Kansas City? Dustin
Yeah,
Colquitt?
Colquitt was on Kansas City. Yeah, then I think
I
they cut him
remember
and the Steelers got him, or they traded for him. I don't remember. I think they cut
I
him.
remember for like the longest time, it was like the first 2 years of Patrick Mahomes. People were like, "Man, Dustin Colquitt, one of the best punters in the NFL." And I was just like, "How do you know? They don't ever punt the ball." Like,
Yeah. Well, listen, he played with Alex Smith a lot, so that's how you know.
okay, is that where he got his stripes? Because I was just remember watching that for 2 years. I was like, bro, why do people tell me that this is like the best punter in the NFL? And then they were like, man, I never see a punt. But okay, 2005 to 2019. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. He earned his stripes. He was punting for Trent Green and some of those, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, it goes back. Yeah. All right. Mary Wallace here with a $5 super chat says, "Do you guys at the time of year know who may make the playoffs? Certainly from the AFC North. Not a clue. Not a clue.
It's too tough to check. I mean,
the Ravens
just talking
have
about
8.
the Chargers not even making it. Now they're like the 3rd seed or
To
something.
be fair, there's very few teams that you have an idea. Look, the Washington football team right now is a playoff spot.
Well, come
Who
on.
would've
That's
thought
not
that?
surprising.
boy, Tom
Who would've
Brady
thought
sweat.
that?
Tom
That was
Brady
a
has the
debate.
pressure on him right now, by the way, don't he? Like,
Tom
if you're
Brady's
Tom
like,
Brady,
not
you're
in the first
sweating.
round, not in the
Oh,
first
yeah.
round.
No, because if you're Tom Brady, we got to get the bye.
You better get
We
that bye.
gotta-
Exactly. You
not
better
trying to
get that
see
bye.
them in the
They're gonna
first
be losing
round.
on purpose in the. They're gonna do the whole like lose on purpose
They're
in
pulling
week,
for Dallas?
Yeah,
week
no.
18 in
They
order
got to
to-
win. They got to win. They got to get that bye week because
Well,
if
just
they
avoid
are the
them,
2 seed,
avoid of when they, they
they gotta play that
They gotta
game.
play the seeding
But
out.
Tom's like, I want nothing to do with that.
Well, I'm on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
He's your
Tyler
Steeler.
Heineke finished the job on him last time.
I would be so hyped if he was a Steeler. That'd be the greatest. All right, Ray Rags 14, $5. Yeah, I mean in the AFC, by the way, playoff thing in the AFC, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Any
I
of
have
the
no
seeds
idea.
or anything. None. Zero clue. I mean the Patriots are playing the best, but I don't necessarily believe that they're the best team in the AFC. I just think they're
You
playing
know
the
who
best.
the worst
My
teams are?
point.
We could say Jags and Texans. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
Jags,
pretty
Texans. Yep.
evident.
Jets are bad. Yep. Ray Rags 14, $5 super chat says, "I don't think the 49ers stayed in Youngstown this year. I didn't hear about it in the news. Always makes a big deal out of it."
I always wondered about that too, because like for the longest time, the city of Youngstown didn't really have any hotels in its downtown center near the university where they practice. So I'm like, bro, how did they convince all these football players to go out from San Francisco to be like, we're gonna be in Youngstown for a week? Strap up. Like, it is dangerous out there. Some of them where you got to stay in a hotel in Youngstown that's not downtown. That is dangerous. I don't do it. Like,
It must have been the Hollywood or something. I found out Hollywood is like Hollywood this week or last week.
oh man, I'm like, because when they stayed down there in 2019, they didn't have the DoubleTree like they do now. They had just the trap where you could stay at, and I'm like, where did they store
Now we
these
know why they didn't
football
go.
players at?
Now we know why they make canceled.
Well, they put the game at 4:00, which makes it makes it easier on them because it's technically not a late start for them, right? It's 4:00.
Why are they
start.
so selective when they do that with the West Coast team? Like,
I
you
don't
see
know.
that sometimes they do it, and then sometimes they give them 1:00. It's like,
Yeah.
what, did somebody
This might
say
have got
something bad
flex
to the
for all
schedule
we
makers?
know. Maybe you just got flexed because you
It
flexed.
did get flexed. That wasn't
so
the
that's
flex. That they
why.
were, it was like
That's
they
why.
thought that it was going to be the Herbert game, and they're like, no, we're just going to move the 49ers game from 1 o'clock to 4
that makes
o'clock
sense.
because it's just another
It's-
FU to the Bengals. But
It
it's
is
all good.
It is. They're in the ultimate FU spot, which is the 4 o'clock game that no one gets to watch, right? Because like the 4 o'clock game is always the national game, so one game is played throughout the country, and there's like these small markets that'll get it. This is that game because the national game.
4
this
o'clock
week
game with Charles Davis.
is, yeah, exactly.
It's a 4 o'clock game.
It's Buffalo, and Tampa.
Yeah, nobody's watching that. Nobody's. Yeah, the poor Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
nobody.
it's actually a decent matchup. Professor
Yeah.
Chaos $5 super chat here says the reason I asked is he's punting for the Browns. Of course, talking about Dustin Colquitt. Yeah, because the current punter he's out, right?
In the bid. I think.
Yeah, that man
on the
got
list.
he got the list.
Yeah.
And Mac Wilson was like, I could punt. I was backup punter at Alabama, and he didn't I don't think he realized that wasn't a flex when he had said it, because it's like, when do they punt at Alabama? It don't seem like that's where all the resources go at Alabama to the punter.
Not
Like
much.
they'll put anybody
Nah.
back there. They punt like twice a year.
All right, Sonny, let's get your take on this game.
So, look, I said last week that the Bengals should have won, right? I said, like, you have a West Coast team coming to the East Coast, 1 o'clock game. Back then, the Chargers weren't playing great, right? They just came from losing to the Vikings. They were just – Chargers have been a roller coaster team. They started hot, and then they just, they've been all over the place. And Herbert – people praise Herbert a lot. Herbert also has sneaky bad throws, a lot of sneaky bad throws. People just don't like to see them, and they like to see just, oh, dude, wide open. Look at that. Hit the wide
Throw it
open
up
guy.
somewhere.
Yeah. And he has two really tall receivers that are great on the 50-50 ball. That helps him a lot, right? And now, I do think the Chargers had done a disservice to putting a speed. Anyway, I digress. The thing with the Niners is Niners are coming not only from west to east, they're coming banged up. Not a good recipe for success. The Bengals, although they lost, they let me down. I still think they're a good team. I still think that they should win this game. And it comes down to this. If you can pressure Mr. Jimmy G, you're going to win. You're going to win because Jimmy Garoppolo, he's decent, not great, decent when he has no pressure, right? But as soon as pressure comes to his face, this dude becomes not very good. And as Q was mentioning, I think Ace also you mentioned the running back situation over there, similar to the Ravens. They don't have a lot of depth. They use Deebo Samuel all over the place. So if you can stop that run, right? Let's stop and contain it. Let's talk about containing it, right? They're not gonna just gosh yards all over you and control that trench on the defensive side. You're gonna win this game. I think you're gonna win it comfortably. On the other side, on the offensive side, it goes back to the O-line. If this O-line can just have a decent protection against this D-line, the secondary for the Niners ain't that great. And I think that there's a lot of yards in the passing game. Also, you can't forget about Mixon because that opens the play action for the Cincinnati Bengals. So not forgetting about Mixon, if the O-line has a decent game, I'm not saying Burrow has to be untouched, but cannot be like in the Chargers. How the Chargers were putting pressure on Burrow for a portion of that game without no Bosa, I was like, what? And I understand you guys were missing two O-line, but they also were missing their major pass rushers, right? So that was surprising. So if they can do a decent job on the blocking scheme on the passing side for the Bengals should have success on the passing side. They should put points. And on the other side, if you can control the running game for the Niners, you should be able to stop this offense. I think that there's a possibility for the Bengals to win comfortably this game, but they have to essentially win the trenches, which I know it's a repeated thing, but the trenches is just critical for this game. So,
yeah, so the line, going back to the Vegas stuff on this, the line is Niners by 1.5, and the over-under is 48.5. So they are expecting some points scored in this one. The advanced numbers, though, in this game are just absurd. So Football Outsiders, their DVOA numbers, their DVOA has the Niners as the 7th best team in the NFL. Okay.
what?
It gets crazier. You do the weighted DVOA, which weights more recent performances against the old ones. They're the 5th best team in the national.
It's kind of slow.
They're not bad.
Bengals playing the Super Bowl contender this week.
Let's go to quarterback advanced numbers. Okay, where my favorite is to use EPA per play. EPA per play plus completion percentage over expectation. You kind of mesh these two together. Ben Baldwin does this. I think he calls it the Dakota ratings. So these numbers are, Kyler Murray, best in the league, right? That makes sense. Aaron Rodgers, number 2. Tom Brady, number 3. You know who's number 5? Jimmy G. Jimmy G, 5th best quarterback in the National Football League this year. Look, I haven't watched enough Niners tape to know. In fact, I've watched basically none of the Niners. I do know this. These are two teams right now that you just can't trust. Right? I mean, I talked about this last week. We talked about this last week. We previewed the Bengals in charge, right? We're like roller coaster seasons. The Bengals are the same. They're the team that beat the crap out of the Raiders and Steelers, but then also lost badly to the Jets and Browns, right? And then they had that weird game against the Chargers. But the Chargers had an equally weird game in that one. I mean, again, 7 turnovers in that game. Yeah, I don't know how you come out of that and well, I have a real opinion on one of these teams now because, we got to see it's like, okay, there's 7 turnovers in that game. Just flip a coin. I did think, though, one thing that was interesting about that game, we would watch this going forward. Herbert was throwing downfield early, and they don't do that. And they do not do that. So that's one thing to watch with the Chargers, but that's not for this. All the advanced, look, I guess I'll stick with the advanced numbers here. I don't really have a strong opinion on this game whatsoever. I'm more interested in just kind of watching it to see kind of what happens because again, I can't trust either of these teams right now. I guess I'll go Niners because every number says Niners, but this is a home game for the Bengals. They're probably not feeling great about that loss last week, especially considering that Baltimore lost as well. They really had a chance to step up in the division. I know those games were played out of order, so they didn't know that the Ravens lost when they lost, but regardless, I mean, still, it's going to feel like you kind of you let one slip there. So not going to shock me if the Bengals win this one. I'll take the Niners. I'll take the under 2. I think no Logan Wilson probably means that the 49ers will be able to run the football a little bit. Obviously we know the Bengals desire to run the football. That's when their offense is at their best. So I'll do the classic. I expect runs and low scoring, and then when we get back and we talk next week, it'll be a 35-30 shootout.
So I think 3 of us Bengals, and then Tony the Lone Wolf with the Niners.
I got to stick with my.
No, I'm not. I think it's going to be a toss up. I think that this one is going to be far closer than people think.
Yeah, because you even go to the advanced, all the advanced numbers are what they are. Then Vegas originally set the line on this game at 6 points in favor of the Niners when you consider the 3-point home advantage in the NFL. So I mean, even Vegas is big on the Niners in this game, which is again surprising to me, but generally Vegas doesn't get these super wrong. So we'll see. All right. Ray Rags 14 with a $10 super chat says they never stayed in Youngstown. They were 20 minutes away in Boardman, at least in 2019. Nobody wants to stay in Youngstown. I live 5 minutes away and almost never go unless I have to.
Stop that.
You were just trashing the whole city.
It's dangerous, but it's still fun.
Is it fun because it's dangerous? Is it
you gotta dodge bullets, but you can have fun.
It's like a Hunger Games situation. It's it'd be kind of cool to be in the Hunger Games.
Youngstown, the whole entire state of Ohio, back in 2005. All of us was in the top 25. It was like a college ranking or something of most dangerous cities. It was Toledo, Youngstown, Cincinnati, Cleveland. All of us were in there.
Yeah, now look, I'm going to put everybody on the game here. You don't have to dodge bullets in Youngstown. You just have to know how to dodge situations that might look like they're going to turn into bullets. And honestly, I think that enhances your college education when you learn about them type of situations. Some people learn a lot because, you see certain things go down and don't need to be here because you could be somebody who don't know and then you walk into the situation and then you unprepared. But see, I went to Youngstown State University, so I am prepared for such things, and such things do not preclude me from having a good time, which I am proud of. Shout out Youngstown. Shout out the city of Youngstown. Shout out 330. Shout out everybody who lives in their north side, south side, east side, west side of the city. It's all love. Ray Rags, don't be hating on Youngstown like that. All right. They got to save a lot with a liquor store in it. That is the best place in Ohio. Okay.
All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about the we're done previewing the we're all good on Bengals and Niners, right? We can move on here to the
before you go, you guys voted and 56% says Bengals will win from the poll.
Pretty low. Usually we get a good Bengals turnout, so but I think it matches directly with kind of what we were saying about the game. It's an interesting matchup. All right. It's an interesting matchup, though. It's exciting. What we haven't seen in a while is it just feels like so long ago that we were talking about Ravens and Browns, especially for the Browns. I mean, they've had so much has happened to that team since these two last played. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, they played 2 weeks ago. This is a huge matchup, though. Obviously, the Ravens coming off of that defeat to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns got to be feeling like Quincy. They got to be feeling like they can get back in it. So I'm going to start. I'll start with Sonny. Sonny, you guys won last time, so I'll let you start here. Give me your thoughts on the rematch here between the Ravens and Browns.
Boy, there's man. I'm watching this. The injury report right now for the Ravens is just sad. Every time I see somebody else going on, I'm like, to be fair, at this point, it's just comedy. It's just comedy. Marlon Brown went out, and Marlon Humphrey. Sorry, Marlon Humphrey went out, and I was like, oh man, another one. And now our secondary that has not been playing good. It's gonna be there with their 4th and 5th and 6th corner. No one really that plays the slot. I think what they're gonna do for the slot is they're gonna bring Darius Washington. And if you guys don't know who Darius Washington is, it's a guy that I like coming out of TCU.
Yeah.
But I like him for him to play safety, and they're gonna try to put him as the slot corner. So that's always gonna be fun. A safety converted to slot corner, undrafted rookie. To be fair, they might just say, Darius, you're going to play safety, and Stevens, you're going to play corner. Who knows? Because at this point, you need bodies. You're going to bring 2 guys from the practice squad. One of them, I think they just signed to be activated for this game because Jamie Smith is also hurt. He's playing hurt. Tavon Young is also playing hurt in the Steelers game. Tavon Young left that game, I think, in the second quarter. One of the reasons they went for 2. They didn't have Tavon Young at the end of the game. Marlon Humphrey was not available for the end of the game, and they had no more bodies to throw if the Steelers would have gone just 4 or 5 wide.
Deontay.
Oh, wait. Raven Ron said, oh, you're right. Darius Washington, it is out for the year. I forgot about that. Look, at this point, they're just throwing whoever. They're just bringing
IR. You can't even keep
Geno
up.
Snow. Geno's gonna be like Brandon Stevens at nickel. Yeah. Some you may need to fly out here. Actually, they may need you to.
Brandon Stevens.
Y'all going Throwback Thursday? Y'all going through this? Y'all like, hey,
what's
man,
Bond doing? Can we get Bond back?
No,
come on. What's Bond doing? Honestly, how many
we
got to get?
Oh, wait, Sonny, y'all got Robert Jackson on the team now, right?
They brought 2 guys. I can't even keep up.
They have you remember Robert Jackson, Tony? For the Browns, number 38.
Oh yeah.
Chase Claypool. They got that man. They picked that's where their corner. Look, once you pick up Robert Jackson on your team, that's when I know your corner situation is completely going to dirt because the Browns had like 4 corners out last year, and Robert Jackson was starting. I'm like, oh, this bad.
I think, look, to be fair, the starters are going to be Averett, so Averett should be fine. And if Jamie Smith is somewhat healthy, he's going to be the other side corner, but he can't play the whole game. They need to rotate him out. And if Tavon Young, again, I think he's been practicing, so I expect him to play. So he's going to be a slot corner, and that is a decent starting corner side. Now, if any of them gets nicked, then it starts getting downhill pretty bad. Your next corner is Westry. If for those of you know who Westry is, he was practice squad feature contract last year, and he was the guy that Andy Dalton got. He got burned by the double move on that Andy Dalton play. He's their 4th corner right now in the depth chart. Look, the Ravens, your silver lining in this game is you're going to try to make sure your D-line is fairly healthy, thank God, and your linebacking core is also fairly healthy, thank God. Stop the run as you did in the first matchup against the Browns. Make sure to limit those big runs and make them one-dimensional. And that dimension is the passing game, which obviously you are not great, but at least if you know a passing is coming, you can scheme for the passing. The problem is if they start running well, now they're going to hit you with the play action, and then it's all downhill for that. And I think they also need to come in and play a more vanilla starting defense. And you know what? That's not probably what they're going to do. They're just going to say, we're going to blitz them out, because these corners are horrible. So hopefully we're going to hit Baker enough that they're just either going to run or they're just going to be erratic on the pass. They might do that. To be honest, with this group right now, I don't even know what is the plan on defense. Now on offense. So let's talk about the offensive side. The O-line, the right tackle is going to be out. He left in the Steelers game, and then they put Is
that from injury or just like sheer embarrassment?
No. He got injured.
Okay.
He came back with a bad ankle, and he hurt his hand. and he's not gonna play this game. Is Brandon Phillips. You know Phillips? We talked about Phillips before. He was
I know
getting
Tyree Phillips.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Tyree Phillips. He was getting manhandled by your guy, Tony, T.J. Watt.
Yeah,
It wasn't good.
I like
It was
it.
not good. When he came into the game, that right side was just atrocious. Wormley got 2 sacks on him. Wormley.
I think
No, well, 2 sacks on him. The other sack wasn't on him. But he got 2 sacks on him. Wormley, a guy that is not known by his pass rushing abilities. He got 2 sacks on. It's going to be bad because now he has to deal with Jadeveon Clowney on the other side. If this O-line can somehow slow this pass rush, we have a shot. But right now, it's looking dire for the Ravens for this game, especially from the Browns coming in out of a bye at home. Look, I'm pulling for my guys. But if you're a betting man, you don't pick the Ravens for this game. The secondary, you don't know how this secondary is going to play, right? You have no idea. And the O-line, right, with the pass rush for the Browns, that is the strong suit, right? Those two on the edge. Well, the right side for the Ravens is going to be bad. And on the other side, we know how Big Andy has been doing with Myles Garrett in the past. It doesn't look pretty. We always have Lamar Jackson, so we always have a chance. But Lamar Jackson has to be human. I was told in the last game that I didn't have my shame for the whole game. And that's one of the reasons we lost. As you've seen, I bolted the shame and have not taken it out in the whole damn show. God, let me tell you
Sleep
guys,
in that shame, man.
Brandon,
You literally cannot take it off between
Browns.
now.
now I'm gonna address Browns fans. Yo, you better win this game. This is your chance. Ravens are coming here. They're hitting what is the line of people on disability? That's the line the Ravens keep putting players there. Ain't pretty, but look, with Lamar Jackson, we always have a chance. If we win this game, it's gonna be great because, I don't see how talent-wise right now what we're gonna be putting against the Browns. It's gonna get it done. I'm interested to see what Q thinks.
Are you picking the Browns?
No, never. I'm always gonna stick with my boys. Always.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All
go-
that to say the Ravens are going to win. Okay.
Ravens.
We got it.
Look, Ravens
Bias.
by a point. Ravens by a point. And this is the score. The score, we're gonna go 15-14 Ravens.
All right. Q, how about you? This is obviously a big game coming off of a bye week with the Ravens losing last week. This could put the Browns one game out of first if they win this one.
I love how Sonny was like, man, this week, this is the chance. This is the one opportunity that you're going to have to beat the Ravens. Like the Ravens didn't throw 4 interceptions on Sunday Night Football, and the Browns got 3 points off of this. Like, have we not been here before? Like, yes, this is a great opportunity. Yes, the Browns, in all likelihood, if they were a mature adult team, should win this game. But the Browns offense is not to be trusted. It is absolutely not to be trusted. You cannot leave them at home by themselves. They need a babysitter. Like, they just can't be trusted. I don't care what they got going on with the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns scored like 10 points on the Lions. Okay? Like, this is what it is. And the thing that concerns me is that Calais Campbell is coming back.
Yes.
And they have no DBs. And I feel like everybody's still going to be like, we should run this ball 45 times right at Calais Campbell instead of throwing at Averett is the number 1 corner this week. Yeah. But the Browns also, and here's what also concerns me. Browns don't have any tight ends this week. Harrison Bryant out. David Njoku out. We only got Austin Hooper and his butterfingers out there for that tight end for a team that cannot resist throwing the ball to the tight end. So what are they going to do? Do I trust this offense? 1, to pass its way to victory? No, not this year. Absolutely not. 2, do I trust this offense to pass their way to victory without the tight ends? They just going to turn into a team that throws the ball to the wide receiver all of a sudden? If memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure they lost a pretty big name player over their refusal to throw the ball to wide receivers earlier this year. I don't think that's just going to randomly change because it's smart to game plan that way. Like, nah, I can't trust them. I cannot trust this Browns offense. Until they've proven they're trustworthy, I can't trust them. And for this week to beat the Ravens, even though it sounds ridiculous because they have no DBs out there, you need to be able to trust this Browns offense in order to feel good about them winning this game. And I just can't trust them. Like, can anybody in here seriously tell me you could trust the Browns offense when they got 19 yards on 20 carries with Nick Chubb last week without Calais Campbell being in the game? And now he's being back. What are they going to do? They're going to throw the ball to Kareem Hunt? Like, I just don't trust they're going to throw the ball to wide receiver. Even though Jarvis Landry had 100 yards last week, they couldn't score in the red zone because they can't pass the ball in the red zone. They can't run the ball in the red zone. They can't do nothing in the red zone this year. Again, I wish I could come out here and be like, yeah, Ravens, you done messed up. We're going to take advantage of your mistakes, but you gave us 4 mistakes last time, and we didn't do nothing with them. And also, I can't be naive enough to think that what Lamar Jackson produced on Sunday Night Football versus the Cleveland Browns is going to be what he's going to produce again. I just have never seen him play 2 bad games versus the Cleveland Browns. He hasn't played that many games versus the Cleveland Browns, but still, I just don't think that's what Lamar Jackson's going to do. I feel like Lamar Jackson's going to play well. And maybe this offense gets in the shootout. Maybe that happens because the Ravens don't have a defensive back room. But do you trust the Browns to win a shootout against Lamar Jackson? I can't trust this offense. At no point can I trust this offense. So Browns win by 7.
I would say this. I think the Ravens should go and tap their 2019 offensive play calling and just try to run and control some of this clock, because the secondary will need not to be on the field. They need to control some of this pass rush.
Do you think the Browns are actually going to do what they're supposed to do and attack this secondary and throw the ball 40 times with Baker Mayfield? You think that's what the Browns even want to do? They're going to run this ball 20 times in the first quarter, praying that they could just make it work this time. And then when it doesn't, they're going to throw the ball, and who knows what happens, man. It's a who knows situation what happens there. It could be great. It could be what it's been. I have no faith in this offense. I don't trust them.
To be fair, look, AFC North talk audience. Both this is the state of affair of this AFC North. Okay, there you have Tony over there just saying that this is comedy here for the Steelers this year, and you hear Q and myself basically saying, well, we're pulling from our team, but who knows? This is not going to be pretty. It's not because it's going to be competitive. It's not because they're going to be playing great.
Watch this be the repeat of that Monday Night Football game where it's just like the best game of all time. And like, it could be any one of these things. Like, these two teams could put together a masterpiece. These two teams could put together another clunker, or like one team could just blow the other one out. Either way, I just don't trust this offense. I have no reason to trust this offense. And the level of players on the other side of the field ain't really had much to do with it. Like, you just can't trust this offense at all. So I just have no reason to.
What is the over or under, Tony?
Okay, line on this game is Browns by 3, and it really hasn't moved. This, by the way, has not moved much. It opened, I think, at Browns by 3.5. And I think it opened at 3 and it moved to 2.5 and went back to 3. So yeah, it stayed pretty much Browns by 3 the entire time. This game's in Cleveland, so that's pretty much even between the teams. Over under here, a little high based on what we just saw these two teams play 2 weeks ago. We saw the Steelers and Ravens play last week, and still Vegas not willing to set this any lower than 42.5. So
under. I'll take the under.
I would take the over.
See, I'm gonna I'll let Ace go first, and I'll give you. I might pick the over because I think
you're the super chat and then.
Yeah, sorry. Ray Rags $5 super chat here says the Browns haven't scored more than 17 in 7 of their last 9 games. How can you trust that?
They scored 10 points versus the Detroit Lions. They scored 7 against the Minnesota Vikings. They struggled to score points against the Houston Texans. This is what they have been. They let 45 unanswered go against the Patriots, and that might be the most excusable one that you have, because at least the Patriots defense is good. Like, what did they have against the Steelers? The Steelers can't stop the run this year, right? That's all Tony tell me. Steelers can't have no gap integrity. Can't stop the run. Browns scored 16 points
2 games
against them.
2 games we had good run defense.
They run the same offense that the Minnesota Vikings run, right? The Browns and the Vikings run the same offense. The Vikings got like 36 points off on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Browns got 16, dog. The offense cannot be trusted. Defense, maybe. But it's Lamar Jackson on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't even know if you can trust that. But this offense, man, come on, man. I can't trust this offense. I can't. You going to leave this offense at home alone?
Ace, let's get your thoughts on
Hold on, pardon me real quick. I got to make a fantasy move. I'm going to go ahead and add Donovan Peoples-Jones. And yes, I am going to start him this week because you know what? Even with Marlon Humphrey, I've talked about this. This Ravens secondary has been horrible. And I get what Quincy is saying. Like, they obviously always go to the tight ends in Cleveland, right? But something's got to change here, right? And we needed to see that happen. And I think that the bye week for the Browns came just at the right time, especially with Baker Mayfield being banged up, especially with the offense, not really having any kind of cohesion and any success. They needed that bye week, right? And generally what happens during a bye week is the coaches are going to look at the film, they're going to make adjustments, and they're going to do their thing, right? So I think in this game, not necessarily that I trust the Browns passing offense, right? But I think that they're going to have to scheme up for this one to get Donovan Peoples-Jones, a huge role in this game. Jarvis Landry is going to have to be involved, especially with the Ravens being banged up in the secondary. Like if Everett, it seems like Everett is going to play, right? But imagine if Everett doesn't play. Like you have to throw the ball.
He was banged up. He didn't practice all week. He practiced today fully, but yeah, he's also a little banged up.
Yeah, so
I mean, gonna have Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jarvis Landry being covered by Anthony Averett, and they still not gonna throw it.
And if they were like 28th or 30th or whatever they were in pass defense with Marlon Humphrey, what are they without him? Because obviously Marlon Humphrey is a top 5 corner. So what is that gonna mean without him? And then you're talking about a team that's had miscommunications, at the back end of that secondary where guys just run wide open, and you're gonna have new guys in there. So that's going to be even more miscommunication, I think, for them. But honestly, when I talk about trust, I actually trust this Browns defense a lot more than I do the offense. And I think the defense is going to play a huge factor in this game and kind of hurt the Ravens in this aspect. So I'm going to have the same question that I had last week. And I think we've been asking this question since really the Miami game, right? Are they going to deploy the cover 0 blitz? That has been essentially what teams, even the Steelers who don't even do that, they're not a man team or a blitzing team at all. They did it. Are the Cleveland Browns going to do it? And they had, 2 weeks to kind of sit here and stew on, all right, we had our bye week. We lost to them with our defensive strategy last time. Are we going to change it up like the Steelers did and do something to get to them? Because I'm going to tell you this, if you do deploy that strategy, and you do have someone like Myles Garrett, along with these other guys that are going to be getting to Lamar Jackson. We just saw TJ Watt have, a 3-sack game against the Ravens?
3.5, yeah.
3.5. And we already know, we always talk about it goes back and forth between TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. They could easily deploy that similar situation and do something here. Now, the big thing I think for the Browns is Greg Newsome is going to be out this game, right? He's got the concussion, right? He's out for this game. Mm-hmm. But they do have Greedy Williams coming back. I'm not saying that Greedy Williams is amazing or anything, but they do have some depth there at corner. They got Denzel Ward there. Hopefully, the Browns are in a spot where at home they can take advantage of the Ravens kind of wheeling on offense and take advantage of improving off of that bye week and come out here and try to get a win. If they can't get this win, I don't know what to tell them. Like, I'm not going to say that they're going to shut Lamar down and Lamar's going to have a horrible game. But I think right now, given what we've seen from this Ravens offense, given not even just from the offense, like the offensive coordinator struggling to adjust to that defensive game plan that Miami kind of opened up. Cincinnati started it, but Miami took it on and all of these teams are copying it. They have not really had a counter to that kind of scheme. So the Browns have to, I think, come out here and get this win. I'm not going to say that they're going to blow the Ravens out or anything, but I do think that the Browns do get a win. And I think Baker Mayfield, as much flack as I've given him, I think with him getting this rest, it's going to be up to him to get this offense moving and connecting with the wide receivers. And he's got to do some things that he's done with Donovan Peoples-Jones that he's done to the Bengals against the Ravens. He can do it. I think he can go deep to Donovan Peoples-Jones and get him a touchdown and make some hits there. So it's up to Baker Mayfield, and I think this defense to kind of steal this game from the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens. I think the Ravens definitely still have a chance, right? They always have a chance in these games. But from what I saw last week, they got to get Mark Andrews more involved. They got to get Hollywood Brown more involved. And the only thing is, when I look at that and I look at this Browns defense, the Browns defense might be the best defense in the division, honestly. Like if we're just talking about on paper and what they've done from an ELO standpoint, I believe in ELO scores, I think they're second defense in the NFL. They actually have the weapons to kind of limit them in that aspect of it as well. So I'm going to take the Browns here. In a close one. I think that they're going to come out of this one. I'm going to say 24-20. I think that the Browns are going to win this one at home and get that victory. And it's not because, I'm a Bengals fan or anything. I just think that with this game, with the bye, that's always an X factor.
All right, we got a super chat here from Misfit Culture TV. $5 super chat. Appreciate that. It says Greg Newsome is out with a concussion. By the way, crazy story there. He fell and hit his head in practice today.
That's crazy,
in the last play of practice. A crazy story. Marlon Humphrey's gone for the season. So who has the advantage in the backfield? Ravens or Browns? I mean, I think right now probably the Browns because
we still got Denzel Ward.
They still got Denzel Ward. They still got all those safeties.
Yeah,
you still got Grant.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think
not Greg Newsome.
Not only that, the Browns also have the ability that they can deploy Myles Garrett and Devin Clowney. That helps secondary, right? If you can pressure with 4 or 5.
You hating on Owe right now?
No. But Owe ain't Myles Garrett.
I mean, we're not comparing Owe to Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
We haven't gone that far.
I
do that.
Wow.
Rayrax14, $5 super chat says Ace, the defensive strategy was not the problem in the loss. They got 4 interceptions. The offense got like 38 yards and 3 points off of them.
Yeah, that's why I said it's up to Baker Mayfield to cash in, which I think he can. I'm not trolling here or trying to do anything like that. I think he can. I think he's gotten enough time to get a week off, which when you're going through that gauntlet of injuries, you don't get time to kind of rest and not put any wear and tear on those bones. I think that he's got that now, and he's going to be able to come out and try to take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, also, if they have 3 weeks to prepare for this Ravens defense and all the Ravens defense have done is lose players in that 3 weeks, legitimately almost a month, the Browns have been focusing on the Ravens, right? Mm-hmm. And the offense still can't muster out more than 20 points. Alex Van Pelt getting fired at that.
Shut it down. Yeah,
Yeah. Somebody got to go, bro.
Yeah.
Because that's a wrap. That's a wrap. I don't even know if they win or not because Lamar might just have a crazy game and then you can't win it because of that. I could live with that kind of a loss because it's Lamar Jackson. But if it's you lose again because you can't score points, I'm at my wit's end with the offense. I am at my wit's end. I think you see it every time. If you watch any of my streams, I am this close to losing my mind for this Browns offense on literally every game because it's just, how is it this bad when it was supposed to be top 5? I don't get how it got that bad.
Not control.
The one thing about this game, though, that's very interesting is both teams after a loss. Baltimore is 3-0. Cleveland is 4-1. Both of these teams are coming off of a loss, essentially.
Yeah. But the Browns are coming off this. So it does feel like the winds of AFC North are kind of shifting in the direction of the Browns winning this game, right? Obviously, Sonny, although he picked the Ravens, didn't sound exactly thrilled with the matchup and confident in his prediction. Quincy, while predicting the Browns to win by 7, obviously didn't sound very confident in his. And Ace, you predicted a 4-point win for the Browns. I don't think I've ever predicted this on the show, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today.
A tie.
This is a booty beatdown. Listen, this is the
Browns. Wait, don't you dare do this to me.
Yeah.
Don't
the Browns.
Do this
the
to
Browns.
Me.
This is a booty beatdown. Cleveland Browns coming out of the bye week.
This is a setup.
They're saying this is this a reverse jinx? It's not a reverse jinx.
No. What is going on?
This is going to be what's the over-under in this game? The over-under in this game is 42 and a half. I think the Browns might score 42 by themselves. Lock me in. Lock me in on the over in this game.
Stop.
Baker Mayfield coming off the bye, let him rest. Oh, what they say? It's just going to take some time for this thing to heal. Just got to kind of let this thing heal. Well, he's finally got the bye week to do it. Okay, the Ravens have never been more bad. I mean, they've been banged up all year, but my God, are they banged up right now? Okay, you got Donovan Peoples-Jones. I don't care about the tight ends. The tight end. We're not talking about tight ends. We're talking about going down the field. Okay, we're not attacking Marlon Humphrey with David Njoku. We're attacking without Marlon Humphrey. We're attacking everyone in that secondary. That's right. They're all Bond. Okay, every Ravens defender is Bond. Okay, if you can't make this work, Baker Mayfield, I don't want to hear about the injury. I don't hear about my shoulders messed up. Okay. This team's got to throw. This is a home game with a chance to put one. Look, the Browns are, and no one wants to admit this, but now that the Steelers are basically out of it, I'll say it. The Browns are like the sleeping giant in the division right now. They have the best roster right now. Okay, there's a team. We talked last week about the Bengals should win the division, or they should be sad if they don't. No, the Browns still. I know the Browns have had a terrible season, but they have a chance this week to pull a game back within first. And potentially, if things go against the Niners in their favor, I mean, my goodness, they could be right there. But it starts right here. They got to whoop they whoop the shit out of this team. I mean, this has to be just not even close. The Browns are so much better than the Ravens. All the Ravens have are Lamar Jackson. And by the way, he didn't play that well last week. It hadn't looked that great.
This is not.
So I'll take the Browns huge. Give me the Browns huge. Give me the Browns like 40 to 10.
What did I do to you, Tony?
What is the score prediction?
So like I just said, like give me like 40 to 10. Again, I think the Browns might score. Yeah. Give me the Browns huge.
You said 40 to 10.
Yeah.
Tony, I hate you. And if the Browns lose this game,
when they win 40 to 10.
If they win 40 to 10, I'll rescind my hatred of you. But if they lose this game, close, like every other team that we have predicted a booty beatdown for has, which you know, because we predicted like 4 of them for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which they have done.
Well, you guys are wrong. The Steelers are incapable. The Steelers are incapable. What you didn't know, the Steelers are incapable.
You're saying they're incapable. The Browns are incapable of beating somebody.
You're probably right, but I'm going on a limb here. This is the booty beatdown. 40 to 10. 40 to 10.
I just like my chances now. A little bit more.
Browns. All right, we got a $5 super chat.
The Browns and Steelers this year are basically the same team.
Except that the Browns are good. See, the Browns have a good roster. That's the difference. And that after a bye week, you have you have like 9 weeks to prepare and you still can't do it. Shut it down.
Not playing, right? Conklin's not playing.
Conklin's out for the year. Yeah,
right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, we on Cincinnati boy. You know, they made the playoffs. We're putting James Hudson back there more than likely. Yeah, he got cooked, but Blake Hand's been getting cooked too. So does it matter now at this point? So,
all right, Misfit Culture TV.
Tony did that.
$5 super chat. Oh, and Ace, Bengals are seeing a lull in the offense as the season comes to a tight finish. Are the Bengals losing steam at the wrong time?
I mean, I think a low is a bit of an exaggeration. I just had to do the math because I saw the super chat earlier, and I'm like, a low. We're averaging 32 points a game in the last 3 games. So they definitely had a slow start, I think, offensively in the last game, but I wouldn't say it's a low. You know, they put up 41 and 30. There were points at the beginning of the season where I was like, are we going to score 30? Like, I remember in that Lions game, I was like, this has to be the game where we finally touch 30. But I get what your point is. They definitely have to get more consistent. But I think since the bye, they've actually started to pick it up a little bit more, and they haven't been as one-dimensional as they were before the bye, after the bye.
I can't believe Tony is using my own gimmick against me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am legitimately picking the Browns.
He gimmick infringed
ever loving shit out of the Baltimore Ravens.
That's my prediction. Tony, this is a lock for you.
Are you betting this?
No, this is a.
Are you betting this and taking?
Well, okay. Listen, this goes back to the beginning. So it's a great. Now that we end the show, we're going to end it on the same way we started it. Gambling is all of a sudden illegal again in the state of Florida, as the court ruled that the Hard Rock cannot. Yeah, the Sportsbook app got shut down on Saturday before. Yeah. So you actually cannot gamble legally. Now, will that stop me?
No, never has. Never will.
That remains to be said. And it's inconclusive because Tony did not give an indication either way, legally speaking here. And let's remember, the actions of Tony Serino are not the actions of AFC North Talk Incorporated. We are a specifically separate entity. And do not reflect the values of an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, DraftKings, you should come in here and sponsor us.
That's
Yeah,
right.
DraftKings or FanDuel, y'all
listen,
giving out that money. I
If
saw
you guys
that
want
deal.
to, if you guys want
Yeah.
to
I want
sponsor the show,
I want
we
that
are
Pat McAfee dollar.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
want
AFC
that
North
McAfee
Talk at
money.
gmail.com. The email
They
is
gave
wide
him
open.
LeBron money.
Let us know.
You know what I mean? We'll
We
take
just
like
need 1% of that.
we'll take 4 million over 4 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like we
I don't know. You split it 4 ways, Q. Boy, I mean, it's
over 4 though. You know, that's $1 million each.
Yeah,
You know
I'll
what I
take
mean?
it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Wait. My math might be terrible on that.
no, you
Don't
got it.
listen to me.
It's $1 million.
So, by the
$1
way,
million each.
yeah.
the poll closed
My math
out
is
Browns
awful.
51%.
Mm-hmm.
It's close.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you know what? They're right. They're right. I change it. 51-10 Browns. Sorry. Cole was right. 51-10 Browns.
All
Okay.
right, Tony, this is gonna bite you in the
This
ass. Yeah, you know what? This is gonna bite you in the ass.
How
Is
can
this a reverse jinx or is this real?
This is real.
No,
No. Genuinely, no memes. I think the Browns should beat the crap out of it. I mean, I think that this game should not be close. Yes, coming off a bye, this is what the Browns needed. They needed a week to kind of, like you said, recoup, kind of figure out what's going on with this team. How can we get Baker in some more advantageous positions? How does Baker feel, in this offense? And then again, you got as banged up a Ravens team as you could possibly have, not playing good football. Your back's against the wall. You're at home. Huge game. Yeah, I think the Browns should.
Before that Minnesota game, I know you said it earlier. We were like, Mike Tomlin classic, like loss here. My friend texted me. He's a longtime Steelers fan. He texted me, by the way, Q, Steelers going to lose this game. It was like 10 in the morning. I'm like, why do you think this? Like, did something break? He's like, no, this is just a game we lose. This is always a game we lose. This is a Mike Tomlin game we lose. Okay, so there's confidence knowing your team about the type of games you lose. I know my team. This is not what we do. All right.
Well,
we might beat the Ravens. We're not about to beat the Ravens down. Have we beat the Ravens down? I think maybe once in our
the Nick Chubb game. Yeah, the Nick Chubb game.
I was
Oh,
there.
yeah, okay. That twice. I think we did it another time in 2007 when they had Kyle Bowler out there and we were like 10-6. I think we beat them. I think we beat them down once. Yeah, that was the last time we swept the Ravens. But yeah, man, I just Tony, I'm just wondering why you went ahead and did that. Like,
what I said to my heart, I can only tell you. Listen, I have to be honest on this
Ravens
show. It's in my
fan,
contract. That's what I got to do.
If we win, I'll disclose Tony Serino's address so you can send him the flowers.
By the way, the last time I was going to predict a booty beatdown was for the Steelers, and I stopped myself from doing it because I realized that I had been jinxing teams all year with the booty beatdown, and Tony has no mercy. Just went for it. Just gave.
I've literally never predicted.
You broke glass in case of emergency just to jinx.
I needed to do it. I had to. I had to get out of my side. If you know what it feels like, gotta get that out.
It
All right,
feels
Misfit
good,
Culture.
It does feel good.
It's fun. It's fun. I would do this. Misfit Culture TV $5 super chat here says, Sonny, are we going to see Lamar have 2 intercepts? Oh, cut it down in half. That'd be it's an improvement. And Tony, what are we going to do with Claypool? We're not going to do anything with Claypool. He's fine. As I said, net positive for me on Claypool because again, the problems I have with Claypool, it's like Juju, right? So people talk about the TikToks with Juju and all that crap. Like people talk about Claypool, all the crazy stuff. The problem for me with Claypool is on the field. The celebration crap. You can fix that. Okay. Can we fix Chase Claypool? You can fix that. Can you fix like 50 balls and stuff?
You can fix it with music in the practice.
That's true. Yeah, they got to do the music in the practice.
Well, you want to know when Tony would have given up on Chase Claypool? It wouldn't have been because of the celebration. It would have been if Chase Claypool had a clear lane to run out of bounds and he fell down. That's when Tony would have given up on Chase Claypool because he couldn't stay on his feet.
Well, I believe on the long one he didn't stay on his feet. But regardless,
yeah, we have another one. But on the question, Lamar, I think Lamar gets at least 1 pick because he will try to do too much at some point, and that's how he gets in trouble.
That is one thing. He's pressing this year. You can tell he is definitely pressing. This offense was much more fluid earlier in the year. They were able to work the ball down the field a little more, but now it just feels like Lamar. Yeah, again, last week, I mean, he was, and some of that's on the secondary.
Yeah, and also as the O-line gets hurt,
yeah, but the O-line was not the problem last week. I mean, Lamar's sacks were on average 4 seconds in the pocket on his sacks last week. 4 seconds in the pocket for Lamar.
Yeah, it's kind of like him. And then when I was watching the Chargers game, I was like, ooh, Joe Burrow's kind of walking himself into some of these sacks too. Where it's just like they're trying to make something happen for way too long. And I talked about this with Engraven. With Lamar, it's one of those things that's very difficult to get under wraps because part of the thing you need Lamar to do is give up on some plays. But how do you tell somebody who's like Lamar Jackson that those plays that you give up on, he makes plays out of to give up on plays, right? That's part of the problem with Patrick Mahomes. You can't tell him to give up on so many plays because that's what makes him special. So with Lamar, it's like, yeah, he should, but like he's probably not because he's so good at it.
This is the problem because in one of my videos I discussed this. The problem is on the blitz. Everybody's making a big deal on the blitz, right? That's how you're stopping Lamar. But the problem that we're having with the blitz, this is a legit. People will tell you it's Giro. It's not Giro. The problem is when the ball is getting snapped, Lamar knows this O-line ain't great, right? Like, we can acknowledge right now this O-line is not great. It's probably the worst in the division. Well, when the ball is snapped, what he's doing is he's looking all the way downfield first, and instead of looking the quick passes. And look, I think that is a problem. He's looking downfield. There's a lot of plays to be on the underneath, and he's fell in love with just the deep ball. So yeah, that I think that is the problem. So he holds the ball too long.
Hold the ball too long. Yeah.
He's looking for the deep pass. The deep pass is not there. If he looks underneath, I feel like 9 out of 10, there's always a drag route wide open. But he doesn't want to take the 5 or 6 yards. He wants to go deep.
By the way, I appreciate my super fans coming out in chat today. Although you will be banned. So
yeah, that's not cool, guys.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else we need to hit on?
Ray Rags got a super chat.
Oh yeah, we got another super chat. Okay. Oh yeah, Ray Rags 14 says first Q. Now Tony getting swatted for gambling. AFC North talk next week. Brought to you live from jail. Listen, like I said, we won't
be asking for super chats. We'll be asking for you to make a JPay account and put money on our JPay so we can go to commissary and do the show from the rec room.
Bail money. We're gonna start a GoFundMe for our bail. Yeah, like I said, listen, gambling is illegal. That is true. Okay, offshore gambling is illegal. So is speeding. So. You know.
The views of one of the
what if Tony was like, yeah, gambling's illegal, but so is doing crack. So,
we all do it. Okay, we all do it.
Yeah, guys. You know what I mean?
What I guess I gotta talk so fast.
Okay, all right. Let me shut this thing up.
Let's wrap this thing up.
Like, oh, Tony's living a different life than we thought.
Oh, before we get out of here though, man. R.I.P. Demarius Thomas.
Oh,
yeah,
that
was life is
so
short. Man, prayers out to him and his family for sure. That was a shocker during that game last night.
Yeah, man.
Tragedy, absolute tragedy.
I was shocked. And then Anyway, shout out to family. God, and our thoughts with them. It's a sad situation.
Yeah,
life is too short, guys. Make sure you live your fullest. With that note, take care. We'll be here next week. Have fun. Ravens, hopefully you pull it. I can't wait for next week's show. Take care.